proud. We're going to start with the approval of the council agenda. Does anybody have any additions?
I do. I'd like to add under Marcus's section for city engineering, Preby Lake outfall joint powers discussion.
Okay, we'll add it under I.
That's fine. And then I would also like to discuss the date of the September meeting, if we can change that.
I think that's on there, isn't it, or was? Number 9, just for the budget?
Not special meetings, the actual meeting.
Okay, okay.
We can add it in there though too.
That's fine,
Okay,
as long as it's accounted.
okay.
That's fine.
And that was all I had.
Anybody else? Okay, with those 2 additions, could I hear a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Kathy?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. We will move on to the public forum. We have, just as a reminder, you may speak for 3 minutes, and seeing that it looks like there may be many of you to speak, I'm going to kind of hold you to that. Okay? Who would like to go first? Okay, Justin, please state your name and address.
Justin McCarthy, 515 Lake. First, before my time starts, should I do the public forum, or this relates to an item on the agenda? And I think there's a bunch of other people here to talk about the White Bear Lake Conservation District item as well.
Your choice.
You know, I can certainly do it now.
Okay.
Good evening, council members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. As you know, Birchwood Village appoints 2 members to the Conservation District. These members are appointed by the council and are entrusted with the responsibility to serve the city's interests at the district. Unfortunately, one of the city's appointees, Ms. Susie Mahoney, has taken personal actions that are opposite to the city's interests and that also compromise her ability to advocate for Birchwood's interests in the future. As such, I am here today to ask the council to remove her from the board. To provide some context, the Mahonies recently filed a personal complaint against their neighbors, the Harrods, alleging that the Harrods stole lakefront property from K Beach during a recent property registration action, and therefore the Harrods must move their dock further south to middle of their property. The true aim of this, as I understand it, is to create space for the Mahonies to place their speedboat on the other side of their already enormous dock. While this complaint was denied by the district in a unanimous decision, with Mahoney abstaining, the very fact the complaint was made is troubling for a variety of reasons. First, to explain the geography, the lake lots from north to south are the Mahonies, the Harrods, K Beach, the Duffys, Mackenzies, and my lot. The Harrods generously allow the city to place its dock next to the north property line of K Beach, adjacent to their own property. This allows the city's dock to form a northern border and Judy Duffy's dock to form a southern border to create a nice protected space. Just to the south of K Beach, the lake forms a shallow cove, and properties in this area must have long docks that start far apart at the shore but converge at their ends, much like the spokes of a wheel. For example, on my own property, my dock is about 50 feet from my neighbor's dock at the shore, but at the end of the docks, we're only about 10 feet apart. Mahoney's complaint requested that the Harrods move their dock south, which would force the city to relocate its own dock, dividing the already limited space and causing further congestion with the neighbors to the south, or remove it entirely, depriving the public of the use of that space. The Conservation District denied the complaint unanimously at their last meeting for these very reasons, citing the safety of the current dock locations versus the alternatives that would be created if they upheld the complaint. While the city's dock is safe for the time being, I believe that Mahoney's actions require the city to remove her. First, for the following reasons. First, the Mahoney's claim does not appear to be supported by facts. It's my understanding that the property line between the Harrods and K Beach has been verified by 4 separate surveys, 2 of which were commissioned by the city itself. Mahoney could have learned this if she had just done some research. The reckless and unsupported nature of this complaint does not evidence an individual with the type of judgment that the city should want representing its interests at the district. Second, the complaint advances her own interest at the expense of Birchwood's interest. If her complaint was upheld, it would have destroyed K Beach and thrown the neighbors into the south in chaos. Susie even recognized this conflict when during the Conservation District meeting, she asked Alan Cantrud, legal counsel for both Birchwood and the White Bear Lake Conservation District, to recuse himself, citing a conflict of interest. In making this request, Mahoney admitted that deciding the issue in favor of her would harm Birchwood, a city she is supposed to be representing on the board. Third, while Mahoney recused herself from the Conservation District's decision regarding the complaint, she did not notify the city of her complaint so it could take action. She did not act transparency, and she did not consult or inform Birchwood's leadership. Birchwood was not notified and had no opportunity to provide comments to the district. Luckily, Sherry Hankins, Birchwood's other representative, and some of us residents were able to stick up for the city at the hearing. Fourth, the above complaints could be forgiven in consideration of Susie's long-tenured service on the board. However, she has also made threats to sue the White Bear Lake Conservation District over its decision to deny her complaint, and now it's my understanding they have hired a lawyer. She cannot effectively advocate for Birchwood on the district when she is threatening legal action against it. No one at the district will work with her while she is threatening legal action. In sum, Birchwood's appointees to the Conservation District must have integrity, transparency, and the ability to advocate for the city's best interest and not their own. By pursuing her own personal agenda at the expense of Birchwood's access to White Bear Lake, and by threatening litigation, Susie Mahoney has failed this fundamental responsibility, and I respectfully urge you to remove Susie Mahoney from the White Bear Lake Conservation District. Thanks.
Thank you, Justin.
Yes.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Julie McKenzie, 509 Lake Avenue. My husband Michael and I moved into Birchwood in 1994, 31 years ago. Michael and I are both teachers in White Bear Lake schools. As our family started to grow, we had Megan and Libby Mahoney as our babysitters. Our kids loved going to trick-or-treating at the Mahoney's house because Susie and Larry always had special things for them. We also attended Megan's wedding with our neighbors Judy and Jerry Duffy. I also crocheted a baby blanket for Megan's first baby. Now, Deb and Jim moved into the neighborhood 2004. We were very excited because there were no other kids in the neighborhood other than ours. They had 2 young kids. Lexi was 3 and Owen was 9 months. At the time, our kids were 9, 5, and 3, so our children and our families became very close. So 31 years is what we're talking about, but however, the past 17 years of that 31, I have heard and witnessed the harassing behavior of Susie and Larry Mahoney against the Harrods. They have brought many lawsuits against the Harrods and even a few against the Kramers on the other side. They have ended up in court, city council, planning commission, conservation district multiple times. The Mahoneys have also stopped work in progress threatening lawsuits against the Harrods. My understanding is that these threats and lawsuits have cost our city thousands of dollars in legal fees and wasted city employee time. I encouraged Deb Harrod many years ago to get a restraining order against Susie Mahoney, and it was granted due to the many situations of intimidation. I was actually with Deb Harrod when Susie violated the order, and I had to testify on Deb's behalf. Months later, Susie approached me in the morning when I was walking my dog and blamed me for her going to jail. She did not see that her behavior had landed her there. Susie has been a bully and likes to attack people when no one else is around. That has been her MO with Deb many times. That was kind of the last straw for me. I no longer speak to Susie Mahoney because of the way she has treated me and several other neighbors, but especially Deb and Jim Harrod. She has been holding our neighborhood hostage for years. Like myself, many of our neighbors have grown tired of Susie and Larry's behavior and tactics. Susie Mahoney should not represent Birchwood on the Conservation District or hold any position of leadership representing Birchwood. She seems to only be there to serve her own needs and not the city of Birchwood. I recommend that our city remove her from serving on the Conservation District. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Seeing no others that are interested in speaking, I'll close the public forum. Presentation.
We have someone else for public.
Oh, sure, of course.
Kathy Medor, 413 Lake Avenue. So I'd like to make a recommendation regarding when you come up Lake Avenue in Wildwood, where there's no stop signs on Wildwood, but there's one now at the top of Lake at Wildwood, where in Wildwood, coming down, there's a sign to stop when you go down the hill, and there's a sign on the other side. There should be signs at the top of Wildwood and not at the base, at the top of Lake and Wildwood, because the cars come through fast. And I've seen 2 instances where somebody's coming up the hill, stopped, and the cars raced by them. And in the winter, that road is very slippery, or can be. And so somebody's gonna get stuck coming back down the road instead of having the stop signs on either side of Wildwood and not at the top of Lake and Wildwood.
So you're talking, I don't mean to interrupt your time, I just want to clarify. Are you talking about the intersection where,
By J-Path?
You come up the.
by J-Path, by Kathy's house? Where
So are you
where
talking
Kathy
by
lives?
J-Path over by Hall or the other side?
No, when you come up Lake and you got Wildwood right there.
We have 2 stop signs.
By Danny Ware's
No,
house?
There's only one. There's a stop sign at the top of Wildwood and Lake. There's none on either side of Wildwood, where they should be, and there should not be one coming up.
There's 2. There's one going, there's one going,
I think you're probably over by J. I'm not
no,
talking about.
the other one.
I thought there were signs.
We just added
Yeah.
a second one.
Did you just do it?
Yeah.
Now?
I-
Like there's, on both sides of Wildwood?
Kathy, if you want, I'll meet you down there
Okay.
at the corner and we'll talk about it. Would that, maybe that would be just a little
one
more.
We're not, so we're, maybe I'm not.
No, I don't mean to hurry you off, but I
No,
mean,
that's
it's I'm happy to meet you down there if you give me a call and we can just
Okay, I'll
talk
show you
about
where I
it too,
meet.
so.
Because the one on J only has one, and that's coming up J, or so, up Iris, which is what it's labeled as. And then it's nothing on Wildwood, but the other side on Lake, it's one going on Wildwood both directions, and then the one from Lake is the only one that doesn't stop right now, because we just added
Right.
that.
I think she means Iris.
No, I'm on the opposite end. I'm on the opposite end.
She means the Iris.
By Iris? Oh,
Okay,
okay.
I'm calling it Lake coming up the hill.
Yeah. I think it says
probably
to
why.
Lake, but it's a problem with
Right.
the name, the
The
signage.
The Wildwood, okay, that's
Okay.
fine, I'll do that.
All right. Thank you, Kathy.
Is there anybody else? Okay, now I'll close the public forum. We're going to move on to presentations, and the first, we have an update regarding White Bear Lake Conservation District. Who is here to speak on that? Sherry?
Good evening. I am Sherry Salzman-Hankins, and I am one of the representatives to the Conservation District. And I'm going to talk a little bit about our annual report and budgets and just some little things that are going on. So we are currently working on finalizing budgets for 2026, and so the current budget is around $77,000, which Birchwood is projected to input about $1,163. And this estimated amount of revenue from permits and fees is roughly around $77,000. So that's how we come up with that budget amount. We just determine from that. And so the dollars collected from the permits along with each city's allows us to pay for the sheriff to patrol the waters, treatment plants, and community outreach. So just to clarify, the method for determining how much each city puts in is based off of population and the tax value of each city. Since we are the smallest of the cities surrounding Birchwood, our amount is the least amount. And so then you have White Bear that has the biggest amount. So currently, the total amount that we have within our bank account is about $125,000. And we have done a lot of work with Mike Parento, doing a lot of work working with White Bear Lake to figure out how to take that money that we're currently holding in reserve just in case something big happens that we have to do a huge treatment that's going to cost a lot of money. So it's always good to have a little bit of reserve. So we have put some of the monies in a high interest bearing into CDs and opening a 4M account. And so and all that stuff is posted on the website so that we have transparency to show how we are using the money that the cities and permits are giving us. So the latest milfoil check has reported that no new areas have been sprouted up on the lake. So we are just continuing to take care and treat the minor spots that we do each year. So that's about 34 acres of the lake. We have a lake use study that is going to be coming out either this month or next month, and we'll release that and it'll be on the website. But a couple of key points that came out from the study is that White Bear Lake's water quality remains an A- rating, and it actually has improved. So some of the things that we're doing is making the lake a lot better, and some of the salt content has been getting better and decreasing, so that's awesome. The use of sailboats and fishing boats and small motors has decreased, while kayaks and paddleboards have obviously increased. And so that has kind of led to a little bit of congestion on the waters when you have more pontoons, more power boats, and single boaters and things like that. So by DNR standards, the boat density in the afternoon on peak days, which is like holidays, weekends, Saturdays, and Sundays, has been categorized as crowded. And so currently, including commercial marinas, there are over 2,100 watercraft on this 24-acre lake. So that's a lot. And that doesn't include the numbers that are coming in and being put in for the day. So let's see. So the sheriff came to our last meeting and gave us an update on the happenings of the lake. The status update is that it's a slow start to the boating season, but it is now in full swing. And obviously, everyone knows we had a couple of deaths in June on the lake, but he was very proud of how everybody came together and reacted, and things were very well collaborating. It's just the main thing is just remember to wear your life vest is the message. So the district board continues to contribute to our educational outreach. We have contributions to the Laker that comes out in May, June, August, and in December. And all of this information we try to put together to try to educate people on how we can continue to protect our lake. And it goes to every household that is within the watershed district, and that's most of Birchwood. So people can look for that in their mailboxes. We had a wonderful Manitou Day lake cleanup where we collected over 20 pounds of trash just over Ramsey County Beach. We have signs going up for Starry Stormward that is going out at the 2 boat launches to try to educate the public that this is not something we want to get into our lake because it is very hard to eradicate. And we are very happy that somebody reported seeing the invasive yellow iris over in Hall's Marsh, so we can continue to have people look to see if they have it in their surrounding area so that we can continue to monitor it and make sure it doesn't get out of control. That's what I have. Do you guys have any questions or anything else that's going on?
Very informative, thank you.
Yep.
Is there any education going on Starry Stormward? I think we did something on the yellow iris, just to let people know what not to do.
That was in the Laker, and we have it at
Okay.
all the launches. Because right now, most boats that are currently that are docked, they're not going to have it because they're not being pulled out each and every time. It's the people that are using the landing and going to other lakes. There's like 3 or 4 other lakes that have been infested with Starry Stormward up north, and it's coming down this way. So we're focusing that education right now at the landings, and we'll continue every issue of the Laker just talking about it. And it has pictures and stuff on what it looks like and what you can do to prevent your boats.
Any other questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I have a couple questions about Hay Beach, if I might, Alan. There's, I want to acknowledge the people coming in. I have some questions about K Beach. My understanding is that an allegation has been made that the village essentially transferred 10 feet of property to Mr. and Mrs. Harrod. Could you address the situation and the city's property interest there and whether we are, and what the risk is there to the city. My understanding is that the borders between K Beach and Mr. and Mrs. Harrod's property have not changed in some time, but I just want to get some information from you on what allegations are being made here and the veracity of those allegations.
Sure, I think I can be relatively brief. The complaint that came in alleged that there was a property registration that the Harrods conducted, and this was after there was a companion registration that had already been completed by the Mahonies earlier. And so I can only surmise that in reviewing the materials that the Harrods were using for their registration, the Mahonies somehow found 10 feet that was being added to their property, at least in their mind. And so when this was, when the registration was initiated quite some time ago, probably 2017 or 18, it was a while ago, it was not necessarily complicated, but COVID sadly claimed the life of our title examiner in Washington County, and that was a good friend of many of us, Ed Simonette, and so that kind of truncated a lot of things because things are happening. And the last thing anyone expected was that he would be a COVID fatality. So anyway, it was an elongated process, but in any event, the attorney for the Harrods, when this property registration action was started, we spoke, and basically the survey that was used to establish that line, we'll say on the south side, the border between the Harrods and K Beach, was a line that had been established by a survey that the city itself had commissioned, I believe, in 2012. And so knowing that, the real fight then would be on the north side, if you will, or the line that had technically changed for them through the previous title action really affected more that north line, or the divider between the Harrods and the Mahonies. And so not thinking that that was really going to be an issue, it really wasn't for the city. However, in the reading that the Mahonies made of the survey and of the action, they declared that there was a magic 10 feet that had appeared, and so therefore to remain consistent with the order that the Conservation District had given the parties many years before, probably 2017, 2018, in terms of placement, they felt justified the movement of the dock another, we'll say, 5 feet to the south towards K Beach. So that was the complaint. Hey, they're not consistent, they meaning the Harrods, they're not being consistent with the order, so they need to move their dock. So I think that gets a little further along than what your question was, but I don't think that there's no magic 10 feet that appeared, as far as I'm concerned, at least not that the city would claim, because again, the line that was used and established, and I believe their attorney is here if you want to have him reinforce that point, was a line that was established by a city survey, again, more than a decade ago.
And then, Alan, quick, did the order get looked at again and then was affirmed, essentially?
Which order are we talking about?
The order saying, here's where the docks go.
Well, the order itself came about because of the title action.
Sure.
And so there was some crowding, and the district reserves the right to basically play mediator whenever there's a dispute between neighboring property owners and dock placement. Essentially, someone from the board goes in and basically arbitrates, or arbitrarily does the best they can, and basically says, here's what we're going to do to get along. We've gone very close to actually having people combine docks and saying you're just going to have a community dock because there's not enough room, especially when you think about a dozen years ago when the lake was really down. You heard Justin talk about sort of the difference, and there's convex and concave areas of the lake, and as the lake goes down, that's when you get into trouble because everyone's pointing out basically at an angle of their own property. Farther you have to go out, eventually things just converge. So it was really difficult there for probably 3, 4, 5 years for sure, especially on the Matamidi side where it tends to be a little shallower. But anyway, that order placed the docks and established those pretty much in perpetuity.
Yeah.
So basically you get the options of putting it in the center of your lot. These are addressed to both of the parties. Or you can be within 20 feet of your property line, but only if you keep all your watercraft on the non-border side of that dock. And so those are the options that the homeowners were given.
So nothing has materially changed since that order was
Nothing has materially changed since that order came out, and there's been what we call peace in the kingdom there for, at least the last 7 years, absent a few hiccups. But from what I can tell and what I can gather from the LUC, which is the committee that actually oversees that and goes out and plays doc cop for the board, the Harrods have been very consistent about where they placed their dock because of history. I think they placed it essentially where someone had done it before they bought the home, but it's also been established, and I believe there's a string that was set out there, and there's some geographic markers that are on the far side of the lake, so they create a nice target so you can maintain the angle. And so there's never been a complaint, and there certainly has never been a navigational issue. So I guess you could say the way to characterize the response from the district was, we're not in the habit of arbitrarily asking people to move when something's working. And so the complaint was really technical and had to do with some terrestrial matters that may or may not be true because we didn't get into them. We just looked at it from a pragmatic standpoint of, is there a safety issue? Is there a navigational issue? Is there something that makes this no longer tenable? And since there was nothing alleged, there was nothing found, and there was therefore no reason to ask anyone to move anything.
Alan, in 2021, I think it was, didn't the city redo the survey on K Beach as well? And the lines were at the same spot?
I would have to look back at the survey, but I think so.
Because we had, I remember reading about a fence issue at one point, so we were looking at it. I think it was for the other side, but I
Yeah,
think
for
we
the south
surveyed
side of-
the
yeah.
total, and nothing changed on that property line.
No, that was a cornerstone survey, and we went through and basically established surveys for each of those easement lots.
Yes, I remember reading that, so I don't think anything has changed on the survey itself.
We didn't go to the next extent, which was to go ahead and register each of those, because it's expensive and time-consuming, et cetera, but at least the city has the data on what they actually have, which was the point of it at the time.
And it matched what the previous survey was, so there
As
was no
far as
need
I
to
know.
change it.
Yep.
Did you want to speak?
Yeah. I'm the attorney that Alan is referencing for 485 Lake Avenue. The registration process is based off of the registry. So I don't know, I don't want to bore people with the details of registering your property, but there are two types of property in Minnesota: abstract and torrents. Torrents is a registration process. If you have a certificate of title, your property's torrents. What torrents means is essentially the things like adverse possession and other things can't occur to your property. In the instance of the Mahonies, when they went through the process in the lawsuit and everything that ended up ensnaring the Harrods and that too, they registered their property and they put judicial land monuments along the south side of their property, meaning that the court issued an order saying you have to place these monuments, these iron-capped monuments along that property line. What ended up happening, falling out of that, one of the repercussions that occurred to the Harrods after that title registration was their legal description that they purchased from Dave McMullen back in the day didn't match what they actually owned now. So the decision was made either to reform the deed, which would have gone through roughly the same process we went through, or register the property. And since we already had a registration line on the north side of the property with judicial land monuments, the decision was made by the Harrods to register their property in Torrance because it was abstract. As a result of that, we had to have a survey done. Our survey matched the 2012 survey that the city had done. Alan reached out because we have to notify the adjacent property owners of the registration action and specifically asked if we were going to follow the line that the city had established in the 2012 survey, and the answer was yes, because that's the line, and that I think everybody presumed that was the line because the fence is there, all the stuff is there. So we went through the process, and as Mr. Cantrud pointed out, Ed Simonette died in the middle of this, so it became a very elongated process. And as a result, we had two separate title examiners look at the exact same facts, and they arrived at the exact same conclusion. So ultimately, what ended up happening is we registered the Harrods property, reforming their legal description of their property to conform with what they now own because of the litigation they had with the Mahonies on the other side. And now the property is registered. So if you go along the south side of the line, there are judicial land monuments placed along the south side of the Harrods property that match the survey. There isn't any magic 10 feet. There never has been any magic 10 feet. After the meeting, when I talked with Mr. Mahoney about this, he claimed that there was some plat that said that that lot was smaller than it was. Well, that plat has never been produced. I've never seen it, and we would have seen it through this process because it would have been provided by the title examiner if there were questions. Since it wasn't, it doesn't exist. And even if it did exist, it doesn't exist anymore because the property is registered, so it's irrelevant. So what I'm saying is that there is no magical 10 feet. The Harrods have owned exactly what they registered, and they've owned exactly what they bought. There's nothing that's changed. There's no reason to change anything. And now the city, K Beach, is the beneficiary of that. It's also beneficiary of a 1984 registration action that occurred in the Duffy's property on the south of that, which I also happen to know a lot about because I grew up in that house. Nevertheless, in 1984, that property was registered, or excuse me, 1982, that property was registered, and there were just landmarks, monuments pushed along that property line too.
I don't want to cut you off too much, but I guess to me, it's not up to us to decide the dispute. That's up to the Conservation District. What I want to understand is the village is also a property owner, and indeed of K Beach. And the outcome of this, there are two things that are true of the outcome. Number one, the outcome of any complaint that's resolved by the Conservation District is subject to challenge in district court. Is that correct?
Well, at this stage of the game, if you want to call it that, the complaint came in and it was addressed by the LUC. The
Okay.
LUC made its decision, which I just informed you of.
Yeah.
And so now that's essentially been challenged, and so that was the last presentation that Justin was mentioning, that he came in. Many people spoke, Mr. Duffy was there, and so the Mahonies were there. And so then the official position of the board came out, which was essentially to establish that it was an affirmation, basically, of what the LUC had done.
But
And
that,
so we were supporting that decision.
that decision could be challenged in district court, correct?
Yes, and essentially
Okay.
that was what was suggested, was that if it doesn't get moved, then they were gonna, they meaning the complainants, were gonna
Okay.
at least entertain the idea of going in and getting it judicially decided.
And so such a change in the decision by the Conservation District could affect, if it could affect the property of K Beach. I'm not saying that it necessarily, that there's a strong case there. I'm just saying that a district court could come in and could change the property line there, could overturn potentially the White Bear Conservation District decision.
Well, let's not talk about property lines, because that would not be what the,
Or could change the dock placement there, for example, in
Right.
a way that would affect the dock placement at K Beach. Is that a correct way of putting it?
right, what you would do is you would, well, doesn't matter. If they wanted to challenge the decision of the district, they would have to go in and essentially, we take what we call quasi-judicial actions.
Yeah.
And so to challenge that, there's a fairly high evidentiary burden that you have to meet if you're gonna actually challenge and prevail. And I'm pretty confident that they wouldn't. There's always a chance, but,
Well, that's what I'm asking about. There's only a chance here. And to your knowledge, have Mr. and Mrs. Mahoney retained counsel?
not that's been formally sent to
Okay.
me. I've gotten a call from an attorney, but that
Okay.
was not very, wasn't a very material call.
I mean, my understanding from going kind of watching the Conservation District meeting was that, I understand you have a dual role here, was that basically communications were going through you because this was becoming a matter of litigation.
Yeah, I mean, the letterhead essentially was mine for the official position of the board only because of the
Okay.
threatened litigation. So I've been doing this for a long time for them, meaning the Conservation District, so I'm pretty good at making these decisions, and we're well backstopped, so.
I understand that. I just want to understand that the posture here that's being presented from the complainant is one that could lead to litigation.
Not initiated by us, but yes,
Agreed.
anyone can sue anyone, so. We
Agreed.
have no control over that.
Yes.
Ellen, I'm just curious, can you give a rough estimate of how much this has cost the city over the years?
This meaning the rancor between the parties?
Yes.
Well, I guess since I've been around, since about 2012 or 13, I've been a retainer guy, as we call me, so it's never cost you anything other than my time. And so I don't bill for that, so it's always been just absorbed by me. Has it taken a lot of staff time? Yes, certainly. I would say the biggest incursion of expense was probably the last series of appeals over the Harrods construction project, when they redid their deck and their little divider. we don't want to call it a fence or a wall, I'll just say the partition anyway. That was well discussed, and it just, that absorbed an awful lot of staff time for sure. And my time, and Becky's time, and everyone who was involved last fall.
I think, Ryan, the board made its decision, right?
Correct.
So I think what the speakers that we've had have asked is for Mrs. Mahoney's resignation. Now,
I mean, I think they've asked us to remove her, but yeah.
okay. So I don't think that, I mean, the decision's already been made by the board, that the docks are supposed to be in perpetuity in the center of their lots,
Or,
Correct.
Yep.
or the alternative.
or the alternative.
Anyway, may I say
So-
one more thing? May I have one more comment, and I will go back to my seat. It's been our position that the Conservation District has the ability to interpret its own orders and what they mean on the ground in terms of real-time measurements and in space, in real space. And as a result of the 2017 order, members of the Conservation District came out and literally tape measured the Harrods property and put a pin in the ground dictating where their dock should go, period. That has been the case. They have put their dock right there. There's photos of it. It's right there. And so our position is that's settled. There isn't anything else to talk about. That was in 2017. Whatever appeal period may have been the case is no longer alive. So that pin placement dictates where they put their dock. That's where they're putting their dock. So in our position, my position, as the Harrods attorney, is that if you know, like Mr. Cantry pointed out, anyone can sue anybody. We'll respond accordingly when that happens, if it happens. But at the end of the day, we're doing exactly what the Conservation District told my clients to do. They are doing exactly what they were told to do. No less, no more. So thank you for your time.
So I guess my only question is what our residents are asking council to do, right? I mean, is that what Justin, who spoke, sorry? Julie and Justin?
Julie, I guess.
So
I
are
would
you
imagine
looking
there's
for?
a few other people in the building as well who feel that way as well.
They just don't want to speak.
Yeah, and that's fine.
I think it's safe to say that instead of all of us getting up and saying the same thing, it was easier to have
Right.
a couple of people do it. If you would like, you certainly for other people to do it. But at the end of the day, I think for the sake of your efficiency and time and everything else and everybody's time, I guess, we just let Julie and Justin speak on behalf of everybody.
Thank you. So I guess we have to decide, do we agree that there's a conflict? Is there a conflict between having Suzie Mahoney serving on the Conservation District and as representing Birchwood, in addition to possibly taking action to, if the docks had to move, it would harm Birchwood because it would.
Having not brought it up
to K Beach.
to Birchwood and bringing it up to us, I actually feel it is a conflict of interest, so I would suggest that she be removed. I would be fine with her coming and giving an opportunity at our September meeting to defend her position if she'd like to stay on it. I don't care about the litigation, that's a whole different situation.
Well,
I would be willing to let her come and say why she should stay on it, but at this point, I would remove her.
I think we invited Ms. Mahoney to come into this meeting tonight and just provide us a little bit of context.
Was she invited? I was not aware of that, so.
Aren't they both on the agenda for presentation?
Yes, but I'm not, was she invited, Scott, do you know?
I believe so, yes.
If she was invited to give us an update on the White Bear Lake Conservation District current actions, I think that's different than her being removed, so I'm okay with her coming back for that, but I would move to remove her and appoint a new person.
Does anybody else have any comments on it? Ryan?
You know, I guess.
Lots of comments, but.
Yeah, I'm asking the other Ryan. Yeah, 1 sec. Mr. Isley?
I agree with Kathy, and I think that I feel bad for the Harrods having to have gone through this, and the members of the community have spoken about this. It seems like people are going through a lot of stuff, and that it doesn't seem like Suzie Mahoney has Birchwood's best interest. So I second Kathy's motion.
I mean, I think that if you are appointed to a board to represent the city, your job is to represent the city, not your own interests. So I would agree that there's a conflict as well. Bridget, do you want to add anything or no?
It just seems like an enormous waste of resources that could be better spent elsewhere. So that's a shame, but I agree.
Okay. Do we need a motion then, Alan?
I'd just like to say, Julie, I appreciated your comments here. I also grew up knowing the Honies, and, you know, I think Susie's done a lot of service and been around a long time, and I think that's worth acknowledging. But I guess I think this isn't probably the place for her to remain. I hope she'll continue in some capacity at a later date, so thank you.
Yes.
This obviously wasn't teed up as an action item,
No?
so I don't know if you'd have any interest in just directing your administrator to just ask for her resignation from the board at this time. And if that doesn't come in, it could be an action item for removal next month.
Okay.
It seemed
I can
fair.
revise for
I
mine.
would prefer to ask for
I
resignation.
think at this point, the discussion is clear. And for the record, I've been doing the Conservation District consistently for a quarter century, and we've never run into this, and we've certainly never had litigation threatened by a sitting board member and their family. So even from my perspective, I think that makes it very difficult for her to serve, just as on a personal level. Never mind some of the things that you've heard about maybe not keeping Birchwood's best interests in mind, but I would give her the opportunity to resign the position.
So,
Scott, would you do that?
Yes.
Thank you.
can we rescind the motion that's on the table?
Well, there's no second, so I mean, there's,
There was no
He
second.
did second,
I
did you?
seconded
I'm
it,
sorry.
Yeah.
Let's-
my bad.
so I can rescind
You
mine
can.
Okay.
and request that Scott, make a motion that Scott send a letter asking for a resignation for lack of representing Birchwood to the best of their ability and our own interests
And the conflict.
and the conflict. Had she come to talk to the city, I would feel different about it.
And this will be added to the September meeting?
I would like us to send that before September, but as
Yes.
far as, that we would like that resignation by September's meeting.
Yes.
And then
Ideally,
for
yeah.
September, I would actually like to have, if we have the ability to request people to take that spot so that we can reappoint someone.
Yeah, I would think I would give her a couple of weeks instead of that full month, just in case it needs to be teed up on the September agenda.
I would just amend the motion to suggest we give her till the end of August.
We're in presentations, so we can't do
Okay.
motions.
Can't do
That's what Alan
motions
just
during a
said.
presentation?
Didn't she just say that?
I'm just hearing this as more of a direction to your city administrator.
Okay.
Again, it's not an action item. This is really technically an update from one of your members. And so it's hard to take actions when it's not an action item. So
Okay.
I think Scott can take that because you have an administrator who's listening to what you have to say. So that's why I'm saying as an action item next month, if you don't get the resignation, then you can make the motion to remove.
And that'll be fine.
All right. Any other discussion on this?
So you guys are not going to do this with a motion and second and vote? You're just going to,
We're directing Scott to write a letter requesting.
but there was no, we should do this with a motion and second and vote though, right, Alan? Direct him to write a letter
No, I
think
think we
you
can
can
just
just
do it
take
as a
direction.
staff action.
without a vote?
Yeah, at this point, it's just directing your administrator, and everyone has spoken about the issue, and
Okay.
just telling the administrator to send a letter politely asking for a resignation.
Okay.
And then it'll be on the
So
agenda.
you don't need to take action to remove someone if they remove themselves.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay, thank
Thanks,
you all
Alan.
for
Thanks,
speaking.
Scott.
Thank you.
Thanks for bringing it to our attention. Next on the presentations is the 2026 Parks Committee Budget Proposal.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, I'm Alan Mitchell. I'm a member of the Parks Committee. We also have Amy Hewlett in the back there and Mary Sue, who are also members. Now, you'll remember in April, you passed a resolution directing the Parks Committee to report periodically and to prepare a proposal for a budget and an action plan for 2026. So we thought August, September is the time where you start thinking about the levy and the budget, so we'd give you the information we have. It's hard to come up with any firm cost estimates when we're not even sure what the projects are yet. We just know what we want to achieve. For example, we want to address the runoff at Elm Beach, but we don't know exactly what that will entail. So anyway, we submitted a update report, and I'll just give you a quick rundown and maybe for people at home too to grasp what's going on. So first we mentioned a couple of observations. We said maintenance is becoming important with our grants, just for our own purposes, and we can't count on maintenance with either the staff or volunteers in all cases. So we're gonna have to be aware that we may have to spend some money for maintenance. We also recognize that we're gonna need some professional help. We can't, the Parks Committee and the council and the staff can't really design some of these projects. We may need help from Department of Natural Resources or private firms that do that kind of work. We're always on the outlook for grants, and I know the council is as well, and we'll continue to do that. And of course, we have this big grant for the Ty Schmitz Park work going on right now. We're very cognizant about soliciting ideas from the public and keeping them advised about what they would prefer we do. We did talk to the Birchwood Dock Association people and came up with their ideas, and so we've taken that into account. Also, well, we wanted to bring you the best information we have right now in August. The Parks Committee's projects are probably going to be funded primarily out of the Special Revenue Fund, which is the Birchwood Dock Association money they pay for the docks and the boat lifts and the boat slips. So it doesn't really affect the levy all that much, but we gave you the best information we have. So in the memorandum, which is in the agenda packet, we told you what's going on right now. There's a few minor things we're finishing up, like the backstop down at Ty Schmitz has been removed. We're going to put a net up behind the we're going to put a net up behind the goal on the hockey rink on the street side and a few other things. But going forward, our top priority, of course, is to do the Ty Schmitz Park work with the grant money we have, and that's hopefully will be completed and better be completed in 2026. Learning from the Dock Association that Elm Beach is in trouble. It really needs work with the runoff situation down there, so that's a top priority. We also heard from the Dock Association that they'd like to see some improvements at Ash Beach, just as far as access, so that's on our list. A little lower priority, but what we're hoping to get to is Polly's Park. That's got some runoff problems there as well. And then there's the Kurt Feisner Memorial Preserve. We're hoping that something will happen in 2026 on that as well. So you have the quarterly report and a little bit of budget information, and I don't think there's any action necessary from you tonight, but we'll give you another report in December, which will set forth this annual action plan that's supposed to be approved according to that resolution. So thank you very much. And
Thank you for all your hard work.
it's the whole committee and our two council liaisons too are major help.
And just one, do we have enough here? It looks like it's pretty detailed. Do we have enough here to go forward with our budgeting process? It looks like, I think we do, and I
Yeah.
think that's great. So we'll
All
start.
all of the parks is coming out of the Special Revenue Fund, so none of this requires an additional levy.
We'll get it into the great Birchwood bureaucracy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I would just like to say too, Dana Klimp had texted me, and he and a friend had cleaned up Elm easement the other day. They weed whipped and just generally maintained it a little bit for us, and I just wanted to thank him for that.
I would also say, I think it's great that the Parks Committee is reaching out to docks to find out what their input is. I think that's probably the first time that's happened, and so kudos to you guys, thank you.
Yeah. All right, Lake Links Task Force recommendations.
Hi, Jessica Granick, 363 Lakewood Lane. Kind of glad most of the audience is gone, so that's good. Why? I don't like the audience. So, here we go. I'm here representing the Lake Links Task Force. We've been working hard for quite a while now, considering ideas and recommendations to utilize a $70,000 grant that became available of leftover money that amount of meat I did not use when they were doing the trail. We have been in collaboration with both the parks and the road safety committees. We've had community input. And so we are here to present kind of hopefully our final recommendations. We do have a drop dead deadline of December 31st, 2026, which means everything all receipts have to be submitted for reimbursement by then, which would mean the work has to be done. How this grant works is you can submit receipts kind of as an ongoing basis. So it doesn't have to all be done and do one bulk thing. You can do a project and submit, you can submit as it goes. So that's kind of nice in that we have that flexibility for money that way. All work and reimbursements must be submitted by that date. Obviously, a lot of this will be dependent on vendor availability and timing of that. So we're urging proactively getting started because any money not used by that time will be forfeited. So I believe we have a resolution did we get that resolution, Scott?
Did we do it at the previous meeting, I believe?
Not at the previous meeting. I had emailed you a couple weeks ago. Not done. Okay, so we need to get that done.
Okay, I was thinking it was at the previous meeting was when we had it.
I don't think,
Couple months ago?
I don't think we had an official resolution.
Either way,
We'll
we'll get it.
talk and get that done, because we can't move forward with any of this until that resolution's.
It was when we had met.
We met about it, but then I don't think it's been
I thought-
officially submitted and
I
approved.
think you said that it would be coming, and you gave a heads up to the
Sure.
council to
Yep.
expect it. So it's not here now, so we
Okay.
have to.
So it'll have to wait
get that
till
done ASAP.
September, will it have to wait till the September meeting then to be approved, or? Yes.
If
Okay.
it's,
We can
real-
get
if
that.
it's, if it's really urgent, like if we miss something, we're gonna miss a deadline, then, things can happen, but usually it waits a month, so.
I think it would be nice if we could get it done, because you guys are ready to start on a bunch of actions.
What would it take to get a resolution together tonight? I could probably put one together,
You would need to amend the agenda.
I guess. All
I
right,
mean,
sounds
so
like,
here's,
I don't mind coming
the
back for
timing
10
goes,
minutes sometime.
we can't do
Okay.
anything until that resolution is approved, because in order to do anything with the funding, that resolution has to be approved, because council has to agree that they're going to fund the projects for reimbursement, and that's what that resolution. So, I mean, it can, as long as it's gonna get done in September, I don't really think between now and then, any projects are gonna
Okay.
magically.
We are looking at a sooner date also, which will be discussed later. I can let you know.
Okay,
I don't think it's controversial, so I don't
No.
know why, you'd be surprised, but,
We could
I-
also do a special meeting.
Yeah,
A
we
5-minute
can do a
special
special-
meeting and just pass.
well, we'll probably have some other emergency in about 20 minutes anyway, so.
I just think we should get it
Doesn't
to them
bother me.
before September. I agree.
Yeah.
so, okay, great,
We will. We'll get
Um,
it to you before September.
perfect. So, sorry, lost my spot here. Okay. We've got I think you guys have the spreadsheet. So with that, we, as a committee, went through and prioritized what we felt was first priority, and then some extra things, and then there's some things on here that didn't make the list for multiple reasons, most of which they're just not gonna be covered. And so, as we're going through, the priority was safety. We really went with that as our main thing. So those items include so there was some talk about the traffic mirrors, as far as really, once we started thinking about where they possibly were gonna go, are they really going to do the job that they're meant to do? There's a fair bit of maintenance that goes with them. They really can't be left up in the winter because our climate doesn't agree with them. So we kind of left it as Do we want those, or could we do an alternative option of putting up blind corner signs that just indicate to all users that, hey, pay attention, this is just not a great corner. The two places that they were looking at one was on, as you come down J, toward J Path there, where you're coming down and it's just, it's overgrown and really blind. And then the other one was on Cedar and Wildwood. The cedar down, the cedar here, then the cedar here that connects with Wildwood. So, you know, as we talked, we're not sure what the best one was. The best option is, going forward, we're happy to consult, we're happy to give what we know. We're kind of just providing recommendations, and at this point, kind of saying, you know, council needs to decide what's best for the community and the final decisions. The electronic speed signs, though there was two that were recommended and these actually came from the Road Safety Committee, those placements, partially based on location for enough sun, because they're solar. And then one is on the bike route and one is on the pedestrian route, so that gives both, well, actually Wildwood is the combined, and then the one on Hall would be the bike route that we say is the bike route. Sharrows, those are those things that go on the road, and research says they're effective. Just recommend them. And then there's some share the road signs, and there's a walker or a road stencil, not a sharrow. I mean, we could put a sharrow in, but basically it was suggested that we get a stencil that then you can paint to kind of delineate where the bikers go, where the walkers go. It's unclear if that actually would be covered, that stencil. The painting of it and the supplies for that would not be. It's about $100. We would, you know, I guess we would recommend doing it, and if it doesn't get covered or reimbursed, it's $100 that maybe the city could put toward the safety. So the priority safety totals about 20 grand out of that 70,000. Then we went to the enhancements of the trail, and these include 4 benches, a bike repair station at Wildwood Park, and a water station at Ty Schmitz Park, which would include a water bottle filling station. And then the 4 benches, 2 of them would be at Ty Schmitz and 2 would be at Wildwood. The budgeted amounts for those include our best guess as far as concrete and installation costs. We came up kind of blank on any sort of vendors that were willing to give us any concrete numbers. But we took a stab at what we thought might be a good number. And so the total for that section is about 27,000, which puts us up to about 47,000 out of that 70. And then the miscellaneous expenditures would be engineering consults on planning and basement and that kind of thing. Budgeted about 4,000 for that, and then the plumbing work for the water station. Actually, John Manship called Mary Cahill back and said probably around 500, but 1,000 is budgeted. So total, we've got ourselves up to about 52,000 out of that 70, which leaves about 18 left. The extra items from the Parks Committee recommendation would be to do exercise equipment stations in Ty Schmidt. What that all includes and the locations and the logistics and the specific pieces. We didn't really go into much based on, we would recommend doing all of these other items first. Anything left over, we would be very in favor of putting toward that. Not sure how much that would actually cover. Parks Committee had indicated at one point that they had some money, so maybe they would collaborate and add some in if there was some overage in there. But that's where we're at with that. Items not covered were the crosswalk repainting and road restriping, because nothing, it can't be maintenance, it can't be replacement, it can't be that kind of thing. Oh, and then the picnic tables that were suggested, they were suggested down at Ty Schmidt. There are picnic tables down there, so it would be considered a replacement item, so that doesn't work. The Kurt Feisner Preserve Resting Spot that was suggested, I think, is fabulous. It just comes up to be time constraint prohibitive on our timeline. If that comes in and there's money, I mean, there's nothing that says we weren't for doing it. It just, our time constraints just seemed like that was not gonna work. So,
And Jesse, I think the other thing that you looked into was whether we could buy equipment to clear off the sides of the roads to make it safer.
we did, and it has to, everything has to be permanent. Nothing, you can't do any equipment or anything. Everything has to be permanently installed. So, thanks, Bridget. Yeah, so like the benches have to be permanently installed in concrete. The water station, all of that has to be permanently installed. It can't be movable. And that was the same with the electronic speed signs. We had talked about getting a movable one to move it around, but again, you can't. It has to be permanently installed, so.
And the reason that I bring that up to the council is because I still think it's important from a safety standpoint to do. It's just that we have to find a different way to pay for it.
Yes. And so, yes, that brings me to my final one is there are a few things that we don't meet the requirements for this, but would be very beneficial if you'd be willing to consider it in your next budget. One would be some sort of brush cutting or some money toward brush removal so that we can clear out some of those blind corners areas, just for safety. The crosswalk repainting and road restriping would be great, along those lines as well. So, Lake Links Committee members, we're still willing to answer questions or consult or do whatever. At this point, we're turning our recommendations over to you guys, and probably not holding regular meetings unless there's questions or items that you want us to discuss.
Oh, thank you for all your work. This is awesome.
Any questions or?
Go ahead, Kathy.
I was going to ask, as far as once we approve all of this wonderful information, is the installation and moving forward with all of these, is that something that your committee will be helping with, or do you want to hand over to the city to do?
We would prefer to hand it over to the city if you want. None of us on the committee have really a lot of.
Sure.
And Jesse, I can add, Mary Cahill and I met with Scott to find out exactly how this would work, and we had said it will be handed over to the city to project manage, so this hard work.
They will be done.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Okay.
I do have some quotes that we did get on a few items that I am happy to pass along, and you can
Absolutely,
do
we'll
whatever
take
you
them.
want with those. And again, we're happy to answer questions or give input on what information we already have as far as that goes. So, yeah.
I guess I have one more question
Yeah.
regarding that. So let's say we come in under budget for all of the things, and we determined that we wanted to eventually do the Kurt Feisner Memorial Preserve. If we poured the cement pad, would that work?
I believe so.
So even if there's not a bench or whatever else, that potentially we could do a portion of something that is
I
forthcoming?
believe so. I think we'd have to check with the specifics of the grant, but my understanding is anything that's permanent that enhances the safety, or enhances the trail.
Okay.
And, I mean, I guess cement pad and, I mean, if you can stand on it, you know, or rest.
The
or-
sign, it's a point of interest.
Yep.
Because the
Yeah.
sign would go up.
So then it could be, okay,
So-
so in the event we had extra.
Jesse,
Thank you.
my neighbor, a speed limit sign, one of those signs is scheduled for his yard. And I
Okay.
just want to double check with him to make sure that's okay with him. Is that something, are those signs, they be moved? Once the grant, I mean, is there a point where we have to kind of say that's going or that's not going? I'm not sure how he feels about it, but I just want to kind of smooth the waters there a little bit. And if it has to be moved, there's maybe a little different placement or something.
I would say that if it has to be moved and reinstalled permanently, I
Yeah.
don't see why that would be,
Okay.
I don't see why, I mean, I don't see
Or an
why that would be an
easement
issue.
nearby?
I mean, I would,
Well, that's a possible point. Yeah, it would be the other side of the road, but yeah, okay. Not necessarily a sunny easement, though.
well, it would have to be, yeah, and so I know the placements, so the road safety, we got the placements of these from road safety recommendations. So they would probably be a better resource as far as why and,
I mean, I'm fine with that,
Whatever.
I guess. It's just that I want to make sure that the neighbor, I don't want to derail this whole thing. I think it's great work. I just want to make sure that nobody's upset that a sign's going in their yard. And so maybe I'll just talk to my neighbor as a first step here.
Are they
Yeah.
always on, or only when someone runs by or drives by?
I believe it only flashes when someone goes by. So, I mean, theoretically, there's not a lot of traffic
At night?
at night.
I'm usually going too fast to see them, but.
Well, when I run past, it doesn't flash either. I'm too slow. But, you know, I mean, it doesn't, and it's just a regular size. It's not the gigantic.
It's not a monster.
Matamidi has them, they're really small.
Yeah, it's not the gigantic one we had on Hall for a while, and where it's like flashing probably in, you know, it's a regular size sign. And I don't know, there might be an option to time it so it only goes on during certain hours, which I don't know. And that could be an option too, if there's upgrades to that, to put a little bit more money into something a little bit more higher tech. I don't know, we haven't done all the research on all of them, but,
Well, we'll iron out the kinks.
okay.
Okay, and so just to be clear, we pass a resolution, and then this whole project is handed over to the city to manage, and then who returns in the receipts?
That'd be the city.
The city
The-
does
yep,
to
so-
Lake Links.
Nope, there's the grant application and stuff. You have that, Scott, right?
Oh, okay.
We met in June and July earlier.
Okay,
So,
Like
just so I'm
coming up
clear.
to-
Yeah,
yep.
Okay,
but it's probably worth a walkthrough when we go live to make sure that everybody's,
Yep.
you know, sort of all lined up.
And I mean, she's not here to argue with me. I'm gonna throw Mary Cahill on the bus. She did a lot of research on that, so she would be the expert to consult on that one.
okay. Thank you so much for coming in. Great information.
And I will say, I joined this committee at the first of the year. This committee is the hardest working committee. They do so much research, they do so much investigation. And I think you can tell by how thorough this is and what a good recommendation it is.
Well, thank you, Bridget. We appreciate your time and effort on that too, so.
Thank you so much.
Or any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
We have some exceptional committees, it's one.
We do.
it's Very
We
nice.
do.
All right, let's move on here. Can I have a motion from someone to approve the consent agenda or to accept the consent agenda?
I'd like to pull out item 1, the regular council, or I'm sorry, item 2. Item 1 is fine. Item 2, the July 14th special council meeting minutes.
That'll be number 10, under city business.
You're gonna add that as number, that's fine. It's just a quick nitpick.
Anything else? Okay, with number 2 pulled out, can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved. Oh, Bridget can have it. I'll
Bridget?
second it.
Kathy seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. We'll move on then to staff reports. Scott?
The first thing I had on was just the July maintenance report. Obviously, John was off most of the month, so this is something that we started working on a spreadsheet to, this is obviously more Bridget's thing, but to keep council updated as to what's taking place, and then not just what's taking place, but then hopefully get like an annual thing, so that down the road when John isn't around, we know every month by month by month what needs done and have more clarity with that. There is some of that documentation, but it's something that is, it's gonna be a project that needs to be improved on. I had the culvert unplugging on that, which not much is happening, but that's actually Marcus's. And then, I had the spreadsheet that was requested for variance and planning procedures. That's probably something we can present at a council work session, just to go through and really discuss. And that's also something that will be discussed at planning. So again, just trying to get the council and everybody on the same page regarding just proper procedures for that.
So just so I understand, because I'm sort of a nut about this, as you know, the July maintenance report, we're in the process of still building it.
Well, there wasn't a lot of maintenance done because John was gone. Jim did a lot of tree removal, well, small tree removal that was perfect for his size. But then, the main thing is we're trying to build a report so that every month we have a consistent report to build, to provide to the
So
council.
next month, we should see more specifics.
Correct.
Okay.
Sorry, who's John? What am I missing?
Manship.
John Manship was doing, and we're just talking about the plumbing system maintenance?
The maintenance that he does, but
Okay,
then also,
okay, got it.
but also
Okay.
Jim does maintenance as well.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure it was John Manship. Okay,
Correct.
got it. Thank you.
Is there another John?
Well, that was what I was confused about.
That's what I was worried about.
So, probably.
He's hiding in the closet.
You haven't been meeting with John?
Manship.
Just
Sorry.
don't warn him about the Ryans.
All right, any other questions for Scott?
Thanks.
Marcus?
Thanks, Council. So I'll try to keep it short tonight. I know I'm chatty. I threw a grant that is, I'm not sure if it's fully released yet, but Golden Mink is kind of one of their biggest suppliers of applications, so we've been working with the state on it. There's an LRIP grant coming out. It's a grant that comes out every 2 years usually. It's on legislation, approves funding. In summary, it's pretty much the only road grant that is out. So a couple things to note on it is it's they prefer projects that are regional significance. So whether that's, you know, a through road like Cedar or a road that's going to like a very large park, or some have even applied for landings, stuff like that. It's 10-ton design, so for the public, it's like a county road design, so it's a larger road. As far as the thickness goes and stuff, that's kind of a new requirement. But nothing here for tonight, but just an FYI of the grant is either out or it's coming out. So there should be stuff in your packet on it, and I just sent Scott a little bit more information of our internal notes for you guys to review. The application's not due until December. The application is pretty, in my opinion, pretty easy to fill out. So if the city wants to fill it out themselves and just need my support, that's possible. Otherwise, we have a whole team designated for just writing these. Rough idea for cost-wise goes, it's in the document it says 7,000 to 10,000, but most communities it's closer to 7. I think when I was out in 2023, most of my applications were 5,000 or less. So
$5,000?
yeah, for when we're writing the whole thing. Reapplications, it's all pretty much, unless if we change anything in the grant or in the excuse me, in the application, all that's needed is for me to update my numbers for the cost estimate and update the dates, and it's usually a couple grand at most, and we're just reapplying.
Is it something I could write?
You could, probably.
Okay, maybe I'll.
Most communities can write their own, some just don't have the time. But yeah, the main thing is thinking about projects of regional significance. So the first thing, just for an example that came to my mind, is since I've been here, there's been talks about adding a bike lane to Cedar and Spots. So it has to be a reconstruction project or a construction project. It can't be like a known overlay or maintenance. So it has to be a larger project, but something like that. And then another thing is it's a max award of 1.5 million. So, yeah.
So I was looking at this, Marcus, and I can't find where I read this, so hopefully I'm not speaking out of place, but it covers the construction costs. Not engineering.
Correct.
Correct. So we would be on the hook for the engineer, like basically everything except the construction.
Yep. The thing about this one is it covers 100% of the construction costs versus like the grant we have for the lift station, that's an 80-20, and then a lot of other grants are 50-50. So it's 100% of the construction costs, but it does not cover engineering.
Did I recall you also saying that the only road this would apply to is Cedar or Hall because of the?
Yeah, I think, yeah, most of the town, or the roads in Birchwood Village are nowhere close to a 10-ton or like a 5-ton kind of design. Because the other thing to think about this too is if you apply for road funding, it has to meet all state design standards, and there's a lot of roads in Birchwood Village that are nowhere close to meeting that. So
What?
it would take some undertaking for any other road. Cedar and Spots might not meet it as well, but that's a different story. So that's one thing to take in consideration. So if the city were to go out for a road project on its own without funding, we had some flexibility there. But for this grant specifically, and pretty much all state or federal grants, you have to follow by their regulations, and that's a little bit more stringent than what communities like to see.
So then, just the example of the Cedar and the bike lane,
Yep.
then does that extend or complement what's been done for lake links?
It would, yeah. I know Lake Links at one point looked at it. They asked me to kind of look at it, and with how it sits right now, you wouldn't be able to just easily just add it, and that also wouldn't be a project that they would even consider. They want to look at like the whole road essentially, and the on-trail bike lane would be a accessory, if that makes sense. It would still be covered, but you wouldn't just be able to add like a bike lane to it, if that makes sense. You'd have to redo the whole road. Does that make sense, Bridget? Okay.
Yep. And I assume then people's property would be impacted. I know it's the city's property, but.
Yeah, the right-of-way that is currently grass, that would be impacted, yep.
Okay.
Yep. And in reality, we'd probably have to look at drainage and think of how we're gonna manage drainage in alternate ways than what it currently is.
Okay. Thanks.
So any other questions on the RLIP? Just due in December, we have some time, so.
Is this the same one we filled out previously? That I filled out, that LRIP? I think that is with the same thing,
Maybe
right?
maybe that's what it is.
Okay.
I don't have any records of it, but it might have been because you filled it out, and that might.
I filled it out, and I can do it again. The question I had, and the issue I had with that was just this traffic study data.
Yeah.
Yep. So, okay,
Yep.
and that sounds like something that we can,
follow.
yeah, that is what I did. Okay, I'll do it again.
Yeah. But yeah, just look at your application, because they did kind of refine some of their requirements, specifically the 10-ton, which is kind of pushing a lot of projects out, and we're having to revisit like what's worth applying for and what's not, so.
All right.
When you say 10-ton, what do you mean?
Essentially, it's a big road, a big thick section, a big, like, not talking wide width, you're allowing heavy traffic through. It doesn't mean you're kind of probably widening it just because you're following state standards, but usually like a 10-ton road is gonna have some kind of sand section and then a gravel with more asphalt, so the cost increases. It doesn't matter to you guys at this point, but when we come to redo the road in the future, it would be a larger section to maintain.
So is 10-ton referring to the size of vehicle that can travel down the road?
Yep. So when the restrictions go on in the spring, it would say it's restricted to 10 tons versus most of these I think are 5 or 6. So, anything else on that? Perfect. So Bolton Mink got lead service inventory funding. That is also in your packet. I kind of spoke with Scott on the possibilities of it, and in summary, unless the council has any objections, is I'm going to try to get, we have a short timeline, and 90% of my staff is on construction projects right now, but with the people that are free up, I'm planning on sending out to shoot the utilities in the street and hopefully work with John Manship to shoot as many curb stops as we can get done this year. In addition to that, Bolton Mink plans on hiring John's Knowledge to finish out the remainder of the unknowns in town. Talking with him before, it sounds like he has either inspected or been in the houses that we don't know, and he can file a report and fill it out for MDH. So the council doesn't see any of these invoices. It's in your packet, but it's a contract directly from Bolton Mink, or with Bolton Mink and MDH. But just so you guys know, that's work going on in the city. So if there's any other ideas or stuff, what we'd like to use, I think it's $74,000 or something like that, so it's a lot of money. Reach out to me. There's a lot of restrictions on it, but the goal is to get all the unknowns from the resident side marked off this year.
Hold on a second. I'm just putting this together. Are you giving John Manship a separate contract?
We'd be hiring John Manship, yeah. Bolton Mink would be.
For city information? So information the city should have?
Correct, yep. Well, and it's more of a record-keeping thing, so.
So records that the city should have, that we should be able to provide you, you have to hire John Manship for?
Essentially, yep, but.
Can we, in this process, are we gonna create records?
Yep. And start documenting all this kind of stuff. So having the records on there, and then when I'm shooting stuff in the road and curb stop and stuff, trying to get what's in the city just more easily accessible and more accurate. Just updating maps and making it a lot more easy for
So when you say shooting, is that basically like scanning?
me
to
having a
figure out where
GPS or someone having a GPS and physically
using
shooting.
GIS, the
Yep.
GIS system to mark like water main, turnoffs, et cetera? I don't know if
Yep,
water
we
mains.
might even send survey out here because if they have time, I mean, it depends on who's available, because it's a busy season for us, so whoever can come out here, that's kind of the goal.
Marcus, can you just do a C-spot run explanation of this, like on my house?
Yep,
So, live in my house.
Yep.
We don't know, I'm one of those that are unidentified.
yep. So,
The city has what records,
yep,
and then what records are we creating,
yep.
and how will it work to do that?
So, as far as the lead service inventory, we have your side of your service from where your water shutoff is. So if you remember from last year, we sent out a handful of notices and flyers, and we had someone walking around. So the ones that we didn't hit, or pretty much the ones that we didn't hit or couldn't get a hold of, those are the ones that we don't know, or they're unknown still. Otherwise, a handful of the other ones still are known, so we're not worried about those.
And we've documented
We've
those?
documented those, we have all those, we have photos of them, those have been cleared by the Department of Health, those are good.
Okay.
So it's just for those unknowns that we don't know at the moment. There's not, in Birchwood, we don't have, it's not a significant amount. So with that additional funds that we can mark off, because I don't want to send a bunch of flyers out to residences again, because if they didn't answer the first one or 4, they're not going to answer the next. So to be efficient, I'm trying to use John's knowledge to the best of my abilities, mark off the rest of the city, and then start getting better documentation for the rest of the city.
Do we want to ding people by email a couple times and just say, hey, if you haven't gotten checked out, like, it might be worth just.
Yeah, they're requiring 4 notices total, and I have to go through to see how many notices we had sent out last year. I think we're already at over 4. So with those that were unknown, we'll be sending just out to those. But that being said yeah, that's kind of the goal. So from your curb stop or your water shut off to the city, since the city water main is put in before the 80s, and we didn't when it was put in, no material was documented on the record plans. We can't say it's good to go. So even after this period ends, everything on the city side of things will be still unknown. That's okay. There'll be more funding. They're planning on coming out this fall with funding to start marking off the city side of things. So they say.
Okay, so I sort of understood that, but not all the way. So John Manship is providing What About My Property? And then what happens? Do you knock at my door? Do you come in? Do you look at things? How does that work?
Yep, so at the moment, there'll be a form that John has to fill out since he has said he knows exactly what it is of what's in the house. So he's gonna fill that out. We're gonna send it into MDH. They're gonna say, this works, this does not work. At the moment, they're not requiring photos, but they're highly recommending photos. So if John has photos of what's been done in the house, we'll add them. But essentially for this funding package, we're trying to either give the green light for every resident's side of the service and not the city side. Does that make sense?
It's
No.
getting clearer.
Well, you just want to clear the resident side so the state knows exactly what materials their service lines are made of.
Correct. Yeah.
Just the resident side
Just
this year.
just because they.
Our number is what Marcus, excuse me, sorry.
Go ahead.
Marcus was telling me they're trying to get to 0 unknowns. So the state wants every city to document all residents' supply lines.
But does John Manship know what I have already?
He claims he
He
does.
says he does, it's in his head, right? So but we don't have any paper copy of that.
Okay.
So, he's gonna, John, because according to Marcus, it's on John's license, he's gonna fill out the form saying what that service line is made of,
Yep.
using his license to back that documentation. And then, Bolton Mank will turn it into the state. Is that right?
Correct. Yep. So the city has to have a licensed. I'm drawing a blank on it, but he's the one that manages the city's water main. He has a specific license for that, and that's what is on MDH's record. So if they find false information or anything like that on here, it first goes back to John saying, hey, what is this? So that's part of the reason why I'm reaching out to John about it first. So we could hire anyone that has plumbed or
Has that license.
has that license, yeah.
So, Alan or Scott, this is a question for you. I need to know if there's some sort of ordinance that's out there that says that the water superintendent needs to keep these records. And if that's the case, I want these records from John to be submitted to the city, and then the city can submit them to Bolton and Mink. I find this, I'm already upset about the fact that there's no records to be had, and there never has been, and the fact that now someone's profiting off the fact that we don't have these records, I'm very uncomfortable with.
I want to clarify part of the conversation that we had, and it's splitting hairs. It's not uncommon for small communities not to have these records written down in a separate book. here, John's using his license, he's putting it on a specific form for, which again, will go to MBH. So again, that's knowledge that has never been written down, that's supposedly is up here, will be written down on the form. So that will be our documentation for here into perpetuity.
Yep.
The city is not paying for John during this time. That's the other thing you need to make clear is the city's not paying him for that. This is totally coming from Bolton and Mink. Should he have been writing down all along? Yes. But is it uncommon that in other small communities, they don't write things down? No. I get being upset.
Yes.
There is an
absolutely.
ordinance, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah.
There
All
is an
6 of my
ordinance.
clients have zero to or minimal documentation in all small communities, and it's a common thing, and it's something that we're working to kind of correct as, you know,
But do,
it goes
Sorry,
on.
go ahead.
If John is on retainer, why would this not be a part of what we pay him a fee every month to do?
Fair question. I don't know if I have that answer.
he should have been
But-
doing this the whole time.
But even if he's reporting in now, he's on a retainer.
Yeah.
So he'll still get his $800 retainer along with whatever Bolton Mink is gonna pay him.
Yeah, so I was planning on, when I got the invoices, I was planning on sending the invoices to the city just so you guys can see what works he's done with us, make sure there's no duplicates. That was kind of my thought of how to go about the process.
Is my ethics radar off here, Alan?
What was the question?
Is my ethics radar off here?
Needless to say, this is the first I've heard of it, but it seems to me providing records that your water superintendent has and maintains should kind of come with the territory for the retainer. You know, if I had a record as your retained city attorney and any one of you asked to see my file, I would not think of that as a billable, an extra chance to bill the client. I mean, I can't tell you what the arrangement is with Mr. Manship, but I can understand your distress, for sure. And you can say that Bolton and Mink's paying him, but who's paying Bolton and Mink?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all are, actually. The state.
Isn't there an old,
Well, aren't we the state also?
there's an old saying, isn't there somewhere, I'm not a member of any organized community, I live in Birchwood, to kind of paraphrase it?
Anyway. Yeah,
That is, that's what we're planning on
That's
doing.
what-
Yep. Yep.
right, that's part of what Marcus is.
And I
gonna
guess
do.
my question is, and I think I don't disagree with you, Ryan, it doesn't surprise me either, but, when we're making electronic records, how do we ensure that those don't just disappear if Bolton and Mink merges with some
Valid
or
question.
something at some point, right?
Yeah.
Like, how do we kind of keep track of that? What's that?
I asked that same question.
Yeah.
Yep. Do you want to
You write
answer or
them
do you
down.
want me to?
Okay, see if I got it right. So this GIS,
Mhm.
the city holds is
License.
registered, right, the license, yes, for it. So the license stays with the city regardless, so the city can access the GIS records. And Marcus's idea going forward is to, every project we do in the city then will be put into this GIS system. So from here on, starting in 2025, we'll have electronic records of all work done in the city, correct?
Correct.
Can I add to that a little bit?
Sure.
So GIS is Geographical Infrastructure Systems Technology, and it is a ongoing record where you can access all plat lines and all utility lines and all the things under the surface of the earth so that you can actually go and map everything and see all those spots. So it is a database across every state that you can review and pull at any point from anybody really can. I do have a question regarding, I actually am one of the houses that is marked as a red on your little map.
Yep.
What am I supposed to be doing?
At the moment,
I didn't get a message or anything. It just said you have a one that should be replaced, and I'm like,
The mob of engineers comes to your door.
well, I'm curious as far as like,
so MDH says that there's funding out there for residents. As I've gotten a handful of calls from other people, it is impossible to find on their website.
Yeah.
And I personally cannot find it. So to the easy answer is is just know that,
So can I send my engineer regarding?
so that you can do it yourself, on your own dime, hold to the records, and then submit it to MDH. I don't recommend that. I recommend waiting until funding is out, you apply for it, or funding is officially out, you can find it. You apply for it, and then, then you can,
Replace my water lines and
Correct,
drink my
yeah.
water.
The only funding that we can find is the citywide replacement. And,
And that's for the water main, I would assume?
well, there's a service one as well. So there's a water main one, and then there's a service one as well. So that would, you'd look at each,
Because I think we have
House.
7 right now
yep,
in the
yep,
community.
correct, yep,
Okay.
yep.
So would that be one that's a grant available for the city to get to replace those 7?
Potentially, yep. Yep, at the moment, there is a overwhelming amount of services that need to be replaced. And so when the grant guys reached out to me on the services that we applied for earlier, I think there was 3 in that one, maybe 4, I don't remember off the top of my head. But he said that we are on the radar, but there are other projects that have a lot more.
Well, I'm sure there's people who actually
So-
have lead pipe. Mine is, I think,
Yeah,
galvanized.
galvanized, yep,
Okay.
yep. So at the moment,
Do nothing?
hold off
Okay.
until they make that funding actually more clear.
All right.
But you're right, Jennifer, that's how it goes. So we're managing the GIS because my staff has all the knowledge on how to manage it and run it and stuff like that. But should you guys get a new engineer in here or a GIS person who knows how to run it, we can train them, give them access to all that jazz. So,
I actually have a license in that.
perfect.
Fancy.
Yeah.
So, just going back to this contract with John Manship.
Yeah,
So he's our water superintendent, right? We have him on retainer. He is obligated by ordinance to keep these records. Why can't you pay Birchwood for the records?
say it one more time, why can't I what?
Why can't you pay Birchwood? You need the records,
Yep,
right? You're gonna pay John Manship. He's on retainer for us. He's obligated to keep these records.
so, yep.
As our water superintendent, he should be giving them
What's
to
the
you. So if you're
point?
paying,
So
why aren't you paying Birchwood?
MDH won't pay the city to have the records that you're supposed to have already. And I think that is actually a direct quote from MDH. But legally, I can, through that agreement, I can hire a teacher if I wanted to, to go around and do some of this.
This sounds very utilitarian, like.
John's the one that has, plumbers are the best recommended. And so I wasn't even gonna argue it. At John's rates were way cheaper than ours, so it's easier, it's easier to just, help him however he needs to, but have him do his thing, get the bill, and kind of check the city off.
How many houses do we have left?
It's like 124.
Yeah, I think that sounds right. A little over 100.
That's a lot that didn't respond. That's a third in the city. Come on, people. Since this actually isn't coming out of our money or our actual budget, I'm okay with them getting that because we'll end up with the records.
Correct.
It's a lot of money. There's no way I can spend $74,000 in the 90 days that we have, even if I tried really hard. So I'm just trying to get one of the budget used in an efficient way for Birchwood, and then try to get us so we don't have to send notices out to residents, essentially.
Are you able to also, whilst you're getting this information, find out where the water shutoffs are for all of the different houses? Because that was something that was brought up for, John had come last year, I
Yeah.
think, for that tool that he wanted that was
Yeah.
really expensive.
Yeah, I can try to get some of them, but as
Do you guys have
John-
that tool?
we do, not that I'm aware of, we might, but
If you
not
have that,
readily available.
Can we get that added to our GIS map so we don't have to do this all over again?
When we tried last year, the intern that we had hired and John, they found 2 or 3 in the matter of a day. It takes a long time. But that being said, with the funding coming out this fall / winter, there's a chance that we're gonna have to find all of those shut-offs in that funding, with that funding. So at that point, we'll
Do it then.
do it then.
I don't
But
want to use the state's money if we don't need to.
the goal is to try to get as many shot as we can. And even like with projects and stuff, like, I confirm that we shot all of them, but like with Oak Ridge Drive,
Where you're putting in a new road, you were doing
yeah,
that anyway.
we try to shoot them with the surveys and stuff already too.
Okay. So we don't really need to approve anything
Nothing
on this,
approved,
it's
it's
just to
an
tell us.
information unless you guys have any recommendations on what else you'd like to see or something different, so, yeah.
I have thoughts on it, but I don't really care about it that much because it's gonna,
All right, let's go on. Mike Schmitz.
All right, so Ty Schmidt's projects, they reached out to me on a couple of things. One, to create a contract for coming out, or for bidding the project. And then, the construction administration / services stuff. I don't remember anything being approved yet, and I didn't get a chance to draft anything, so,
for the actual activity.
for the actual, for us to bill, yeah, for me to, you know,
Okay.
try to stay underneath. So if we have a council meeting here, sounds like maybe sooner in September, I can draft one up, but that is coming. I know that there's a grant available August 21st that they asked me to apply for, so I haven't looked at that, but I would guess it'd probably take a couple hours, at most, if council's okay with it. But just want to give you a heads up that I'll edit, that's kind of planning, and then if you guys have an idea of a recommendation, if you want to see me out there often or not, yeah. But
I think we had approved previously, I think it was up to 7,500 for engineering expenses, if I recall.
is that what it is?
I
Okay.
believe so. What grant are they wanting you to apply for?
It's a Rice Creek grant, and that is the amount of
That-
information that I have. I had to email Lori
It's
back.
that second grant that they were looking for, so the
Yeah.
7,500 plus, I think it was a
It's
10,000,
10,000.
right?
Is that what it is? They didn't, all they asked
didn't
is,
tell you.
they didn't tell me. So,
I think it's the 10,000 one, so we definitely want to apply for that.
okay. And then on the same topic, we have the 2025 street maintenance project approved, but I did not get a construction services budget approved yet. I haven't sent one to the council, and I didn't realize that until yesterday. If the council's okay with it, I have a remaining $5,000 of our design budget left, roughly speaking. I would just use that $5,000 to start construction services, because I'll have to start marking out all the potholes and stuff within the month.
Tell me what budget this is. Is this the budget for the lift station?
Nope, for the
Confused
the
what
mill and
budget.
overlay over on,
Oh, there's
Oak Ridge Drive.
$5,000
so I think
that we allocated that we're not gonna spend there.
for the design, yep.
Okay.
So we had a budget for the survey and then me designing the project. And I didn't spend $5,000 of that budget.
Okay.
So if you guys are okay with it, I'm just gonna roll that into the construction services, since I didn't get a memo drafted up yet of an actual budget. And in reality, I don't even know if it'd be another 5,000 that I would ask for, but
Should we make a motion to approve that, do you think? If that's shifting what we previously approved, would you prefer a motion, Marcus? Or does it not, or is that,
Did we allocate to specific buckets for that?
did we even allocate? I thought we just did it as one big
I thought
wad.
we did
I think it was just a design and surveying one, but I normally like to split it up just so you guys know where your money's going.
Well, that's always good.
So,
Okay,
as long as you guys are fine with it, I'll allocate a different, so when you guys see the bills, there'll be a different line item for construction services, but that'll be where the budget starts, if that's fine with you guys.
Sounds good. I'm good with that.
Okay, lift station, you guys should have the pay app 2 in front of you. It has been going decently smooth, couple hiccups, nothing that's costing the city money yet.
yet.
I don't expect anything to happen. We're pretty far along in the project. So, bituminous as of last week was 3 to 4 weeks out still. I reached out today. They're gonna be sweeping the street by the end of the week before, and then there's some other cleanup items. But essentially, we have some electrical, a lot of testing still, and then deactivating the existing lift station and bringing the new one online, and then a lot of restoration.
And when do we expect the road might open down there again, next 3 or 4 weeks?
3 to 4 week, yeah,
Yeah,
yep.
that's
Pretty much
what it looked
as
like.
soon as the asphalt's down,
By end of September.
Okay.
yeah, oh,
People are gonna
easily,
start
yep.
asking, as soon as it starts winding down, people are
Yep.
gonna start asking, so thank you.
As soon as the asphalt goes down, we'll have to start planning on where that crosswalk's going. So is there some person I should specifically reach out to on just making sure we're having it
I
in the
think
right
we had
spot?
approved it going from where Owl meets up over to the easement, if I recall. But I think the road safety committee had drawn up a location for that, so there might actually be a map for that already.
Okay,
I have I have a folder
okay,
from the road safety committee, so let me look in there and I'll get back with you to see if
Perfect.
there's a map in there of that.
yep. Otherwise, I think we're sitting pretty well. I mean,
Okay.
the project in general has been going good. If we can quit some money, that'd be great, but any questions as far as lift station, the project goes?
Do we have the signage for the crosswalk and such already ordered as well? I know it's only
That's part
sort
of the
of,
project.
okay.
I remember right. I'm pretty confident in that one, actually, but
And I think we also had wanted a sign that says crosswalk ahead or something like that, where it was going to be further up the road because it
Yep.
is kind of a blind corner.
yep, that I believe is in the project.
Okay.
So as long as the council's fine with it or has questions, yeah, if we can approve pay up to. As far as your question, Kathy, it goes last month about the taxes. Normally we wouldn't even see anything like that. We're paying for the service and they're paying for all the materials, so
It's because we're not paying for the materials that we're paying taxes for.
yeah, it's built into their costs. We're paying the $585,000 and it's just part of it, so.
Okay.
You'll see the retainage pulled out this time, and we're back to order, so.
This is a really small point, but we've got lots of signage going up. Has anybody looked in aggregate as to where they are all lining up? And should we do that, or has Roads done that?
We could go look.
It might make sense. Okay.
Agreed, especially where the crosswalk signs are kind of going. There's a lot of driveways and not a whole lot of room. I know when we were looking at putting the temporary traffic control signs, there wasn't a whole lot of space to put them, but without blocking a driveway.
Right, and Lake Links now has got a plan for signs.
Yeah,
Okay.
We can go check it out, Bridget.
So you need an approval on paying this to 16,460.
yep.
Well, I'll move to
And
do that second payment.
Can I get a second on that? The second pay up.
I'll second.
Are you guys with us? Yeah? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes.
Marcus, I guess, is there any, it sounds like I'm worried about school buses with the road closed there.
Mhm.
Can we kind of say, hey, let's maybe early September?
What time does school start?
The week after
I thought it
Memorial
was
Day.
September.
Week after Memorial?
Or, sorry, not Labor Day.
Or, yeah, I know what you meant, okay.
It starts.
September
I think it's
second.
before.
Yeah.
Does the city have a
Oh,
contact
So White Bear Lake starts the week after. I don't know when Matamidi starts.
It's the same.
Is it?
It's
Yep.
September 2nd is Matamidi. Is that is White
No.
Bear September 2nd? They're a week after that?
They're after, they are the,
I'll get you a contact.
so like the
for
second, third,
Matamidi.
fourth.
I
Perfect.
can probably
Yep.
just look up White Bear too. I mean,
I have their map.
Yeah. I'll kind of
Yeah.
bring it up to Henches. I'm guessing they're gonna wanna be done with the project before the school starts,
yeah, I
so
think that would be.
that would be kind of my
preferable.
guess,
I mean,
but
because a lot of people do go
yeah,
that way. to
that's what I've
take,
heard,
you know,
yep.
And it's not the biggest burden, but it's not something we want to prolong.
White Bear Lake School starts on, it's like, yeah, that week after, so the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th.
Okay, I knew that some schools start next week.
Yeah.
Or 2 weeks.
No one's
So,
local, so,
Yeah.
not with the buses here.
No,
So,
okay.
yeah, I think Matamita is the same, where it's the Tuesday after Labor Day, right?
That's
Tuesday,
what I
Wednesday,
think it is.
Thursday?
That's when my kid starts detention. So,
Okay, good point. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, all of the White Bear schools, EC through K-12 is by the 8th, all of them start,
Okay.
but they're staggered.
I see that.
I didn't draft a discussion for the as-built survey. Is there, I guess, a discussion or questions or anything that the council has on it?
I don't know what it is.
I think you would need to give us a little background.
So, okay, as-built in general, just for going way back, it's a certification that the project got put in as planned, or if not, on the as-built, it notes the changes in the plan. So, best example would be is the lift station. Any changes that, from what you guys approved already, the city will get an as-built record, so Hench is actually is required to provide a as-built to Bolton Mank. We review it. If accepted by us, we then give it to the city for your guys' records, and then we'll put it on the GIS as well, just so when we go back, it's already right there of what's in there. For example, when we're digging, we found what we think is an old lift station buried. So
3 lift stations back, old?
So we have the one that's put in right now, the one that's running, and we're guessing it's the one that was put in prior to that. That's our best guess. It's removed now because we had other stuff that needed to go there. But, so as far as moving projects forward, if and when my kids build a new lift station there, we know exactly what's in the ground.
Bolton and Macon.
For there. So that's kind of the general basis of an as-built. So my recommendation as far as building records go, when we get a building permit in, they provided a survey of what the plan is and stuff like that, is just requiring them to provide an as-built.
Let me work on a code change.
Okay.
To do that, I want to make sure we make it no broader and no narrower than it
Yep.
should be. And we can maybe just do it, and if we need you to review it, then we can allocate an hour of
Yeah,
time
it won't take long.
next month or
So
something, so.
it's essentially just us verifying that, I mean, we have our checks and stuff, but me going out there, I'm not going and shooting specifically like grade. I know on Avery's property, there's a lot of concerns about drainage, making sure it stays on his property, stuff like that. And I'm pretty confident in saying that it is how it was planned, but it's a good practice to require the builder or whoever's building it to put their stamp of approval on it. This is what was done. What we propose is what was done. If not, these are the changes, if that makes sense.
Is there something regarding, it says Morse property? I'm not aware of what this issue is.
There was discussion of that
A specific person's property that
Yeah.
that issue?
Yeah, it was just discussion that since there was a appeal on it, that we should require an as-built, and I think I remember we decided that we're not gonna enforce it, or there wasn't a whole lot of legs to enforce it, if I remember.
Well, we don't have an ordinance.
We don't have an ordinance that really
So,
requires it, so.
looking back at that situation, you think, based on the recommendation of, I believe it was you and Ben and
Yeah,
Jack, that we should require as-built surveys
yeah,
going forward, because we can't enforce
We
something
can't
that we don't
enforce
have an
old ones,
ordinance
but-
for.
right.
Devil's advocate here, how much extra administrative time is this going to take to keep records for as-builts in addition? Like, is this something we're planning on recording here and then having you enter into?
It should just be it
GIS?
should just be saved, a saved copy of what the building permit.
So it's something
Simple
that
as
just gets
that.
attached to a existing permit to say that what was planned is actually what was built, or what actually was built is, this
Correct.
is what it is.
Yep.
Make sure we're not doing this for fences. We need to make sure, like, we're doing this for, I haven't.
It's
looked at
specifically for like
numbers.
buildings,
Specifically for like a new, if it's a new house, you know.
remodels that are
there's some
changing,
overhead.
you know,
If
Talking about
it's a
permanent structures,
New
right?
shed, maybe not, so.
say it one more time.
Wouldn't you just have the history of change orders for any kind of project?
In theory, yes, but it's, and most of those should be tracked, but it's essentially this, if something got changed and it wasn't either tracked, or it's essentially taking the liability off the city of, if a neighbor, for example, says, hey, you're draining water on our property, the owner is like, well, it was inspected by the city. We send a surveyor out there, it's like, hey, this wasn't done per plan. It's like, well, you guys signed off on it. We can go back and say, well, your as-built said that it should have been like this. Why is it not like this? Like, oh, we changed that. We forgot to tell you about it. So it's the city saying, hey, was there any changes? We should have known about them by now, but just as a second, like, chance to record any changes. So we have the original building permit, or the original building plans, but it's good, just a good second check.
Can I ask a question? So when we built, there was an old house there, there was a garage in the back part. And when that garage got removed,
Kathy, can you come up to the mic, please?
so when we built, the old house came down, there was a garage on the back side. When they removed the garage and they dug down, I came home one day and they were down way below. I mean, you could not see equipment. There was a big old cesspool, way buried deep. I don't know if they keep a record of that, if that makes any difference within the city, because there's a lot of old structures here in terms of record keeping. So I
Right.
think an as-built is probably good. I just say that because nobody knew that was
Right.
there.
Right.
But the as-built is different. I think it's good.
Yeah, there shouldn't be any changes, essentially. It's not, if everything went to per plan, they don't have to get a surveyor out there. They just literally need a stamp on it, as built, dated, and with a name on it, and it's
So
good to go.
it's just a filed copy, we're not
Filed
adding
copy.
anything else that
No,
people have to type in.
if they change
so-
stuff, then they need to show it, but it's kind of on them to do it, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions for Marcus?
Thanks for bringing something to us, Marcus. Thank you for raising an issue with the code.
Yeah. And then the Preby Lake joint powers,
Yep.
you wanna start there? You want me to?
All right, so we've been working on the Preby drainage Halls Marsh agreement for 2.5 years now. And we've had the same contacts at Rice Creek for over a couple months now, so we actually have made some progress. When we were looking at the last draft that we received, there was a issue that we brought up to Rice Creek that we don't own the entire marsh. So right now, we had requested, or we have in our portion to accept, is that Birchwood Village accepts responsibility for vegetative and habitat management. And since we don't own the entire thing, we had suggested that that be added to Matamidi as well, because they own the portion that has the outflow, I think that's what it's called.
Yeah,
The-
we thought that they owned it, but
Yeah.
continue.
But it's not within Birchwood Village's property line, it's actually in the Matamidi district. But when we reached out to Rice Creek regarding that, they said that Matamidi was not interested in maintaining that, and therefore they didn't want any details for that. So with that, we were hoping to reach out to Matamidi, if this is the case, to ask them for joint powers that would allow the city to take over the ability to make decisions regarding habitat and vegetative management of the entire marsh, so that all things could be happening, and so that it somewhat holds us non-liable from Matamidi if we take out, let's say we do a grant and we remove all of the invasive species and restore the grant or the marsh to its a reserve, I believe, is what we currently have it set up as, so that it can function as a correct marsh, that it would allow us to make the decisions for that without having to have Matamidi weigh in on that. I think it's less than an eighth of the marsh that is actually under them.
I looked at the counties.
Can we annex it?
Do Ryan and Bridget, do you guys understand the kind of the background of all this and why this is, I think that there's a great deal here and we're kind of jumping into the middle of it.
No, but it's 8:45.
It
so I don't
would help
really need
me,
the history lesson.
it would help me a lot to have, I know that's the concern here is, I have a lot of concerns about this project. I think maybe we need to involve the council a little more and get a presentation or some information to people so we can make informed decisions, because this has been dragging out a long time. And it seems like, this is the first time in a long time there's been any update. I'd just like a little more information, and I don't think tonight is the night to try to put all those pieces together.
Kathy, if there is time, I think that's a good idea as a presentation. The thing that I reacted to immediately is, what does it mean to manage this thing?
Yeah, I'm
Because we got
concerned this
enough
is
to
a
manage.
way out for Rice Creek, what's going on here.
Well, so Rice Creek doesn't want anything to do with it. So right now, no one is taking responsibility for that portion of making sure that the,
We have to get people up to speed on this,
let's-
because that's not
Let's
acceptable.
Kathy finish.
So the reason I'm bringing this up is because if we would like to reach out to Matamidi to determine if a joint powers would make sense, then we can actually submit that to the Rice Creek Watershed District and then have an actual document that we can then review, because right now it's been going back and forth for 2.5 years to try and get something that is agreed upon by all, I think it's 7 communities at this point, and we are holding it
No.
up at this point.
We need to be the long pole in the tent on this. This is.
And we have been, which is why
Yeah,
we've been asking for a
we're-
lot of things for this. So this is the one portion that they
think-
initially gave us all the information, like that it's all ours, and that is not the case. So we wanted to make sure we dot our i's and cross our t's and our j's.
Can we get an update on this that actually tells the story of it for like next month, so that we can start getting this kind of finalized?
Is this something for work session first?
It can be whatever. I mean, I think it affects the public, but like this, we can't just jump into the middle of this. This is a complex matter, and I think we need to think about how we're gonna get everybody up to speed so we can make some informed decisions that protect the village's interests here. The last, I think this was before the council, was basically an allocation of some funding to do some engineering on this.
Oh, no. This is the Preby Lake drainage issue of Preby Lake into Halls Marsh. So this has
The
been
last time it was
environmental.
before yeah, let me finish this time. The last time this was before the council was basically an allocation of some funding to go to Marcus to get some engineering advice, and I don't think there's been any information or updates to us since that point, so I think that I'm concerned that this is just kind of off to the side here, and I'd like to see this get a little more to the front, so.
Would it be helpful if we brought the actual agreement that we've been working on and tee it up that way? Because that's what's
I'm
really driving
afraid,
this,
like,
was that we
right.
saw that Matamidi was excluded, and since they have technically half the marsh, it was our suggestion that they should basically have the same obligations that we do. So that's what brought this up.
I think whether we have any obligation at all here, I mean, I think we need to consider whether we let Preby Lake continue to drain into Halls Marsh at all.
Well,
I
that's
think
been
that ship
the
has
ongoing
sailed.
thing for the last
And-
2.5 years that we've been arguing.
And this needs to just, we need to get serious, and if that's what's gonna happen, then we have to send a letter saying that, so.
We've been working on this for 2.5 years. This has never been a non-serious issue. I'd like to point that out. So we've been meeting with them and discussing with them for 2.5 years. This has not been under the rug. the entire
I'd like to
time.
be, guess, to me, like, I guess I'd like to just be a little more included in terms of having this kind of a council issue.
You're welcome to look at the agreement. We can definitely bring it into a special session.
Who's we?
Alan, Marcus, and I have been working on this for 2.5 years. And then prior to that, we also had Justin McCarthy was on it, and we also had the various,
Is it
Ruth and Bud had been involved. So it's not been a under the rug
So it
thing.
sounds like it's been really hard.
It's been a fun process.
Not all that much fun, and now new people have dropped in, which makes it
That's
hard.
why it needs to
So,
be.
Alan, can you just send us all the information you
Yeah.
have?
Yes,
Just email us all the
please.
information you have, I
Anything.
can read it.
Yeah,
We'll try to do something of a high-level synopsis.
Overview.
Of the event, because it involves the DNR and a big project that doesn't even start in Birchwood, so, yeah, there's a lot of tentacles here. This is actually the end result, so this is the maintenance agreement once this project gets done. But all will become clear next month.
Perfect. Thank you, Alan.
okay, thank you.
Clearer.
Thanks, Kathy, for working on all this.
It's been a fun one.
Is there anything else for Marcus then? Are you done, Marcus?
That's all I have.
There's a highlighted one that's on here, discussion
We
of
did
possible
that.
action. That the construction service
That's the one we made
budget.
a motion on, right? To take that money from,
Oh, I thought that was F. Oh, you're talking about moving the,
Repeat
that was
yourself,
that
Kathy, I missed
5,000?
it. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
We talked about the sewer and the catch basin.
Oh, no, the catch basin thing that was on city administrator, he said was actually engineering. Can you discuss that one, the culvert?
Yeah, oh, good point. So after the last council meeting, the council instructed they allocated $500 to clean the culverts. I reached out to John Manship, instructing him that. He responded saying $500 wasn't enough money, and that he recommended replacing or removing the culverts completely. And talking with Scott and Jennifer, I don't think it is in the city's best interest to remove the culverts. I asked him on what it would cost and stuff, but I haven't heard back, and I know he's been on vacation for a while.
Okay, this is, again, just clarify this for me.
Mm.
If he's in charge of the water mains, what's that have to do with runoff?
Yeah, from what I was told is John was the one that was maintaining the storm sewer with the cleaning and stuff. So that's his part in it. So I'm not, I guess that's what I was told, from Rebecca.
Oh, okay. So if that's the case, it was his responsibility the entire time to keep that clean?
Correct.
And now he's saying we're not paying him enough to clean it out.
He's saying he can't hire someone to clean it for $500. It would be more than that, but he's recommending us to just replace them or to remove them completely.
your recommendation is just to leave them?
Until we can maybe, I noticed that driveways down the line they don't have culverts and probably should, and that why
Should they
beyond
though?
me.
I mean, we had all that rain and there's no standing water.
Yeah, good question. I don't have a good answer for you, because I don't have a good idea of what the city's storm sewer is yet, and I'm hoping to get kind of that clarification. I know that there's an inlet right over there, so, the culverts, the best way I can explain it is culverts are a safety precaution, so, like I wanna say it might have been, Milwaukee, where they got 15 inches of rain, it's a freak event, or you have a water main break, like above the water, and next thing you know, you're getting millions of gallons coming down the street. It's a safety precaution. You guys have a lot of green space, so in general, you guys soak in very well. But like, should we have a freak event, it's a safety precaution.
But wasn't there an original issue that a neighbor was raising, and then that's how this all?
He wanted
got
to replace his
started?
driveway,
Right, so what's happening to the neighbor?
so he, well,
I don't think there's a neighbor involved.
no, it's the guy who,
The
it's the guy,
homeowner wants to.
the homeowner wants to replace his driveway,
Yeah, okay,
sorry.
the homeowner.
Yeah, he submitted his permit, and so at this point, he's planning on replacing the
I
driveway.
think he's already replaced one.
Yeah, I believe so. His permit was approved, was it last week, I think? So at this point, I think we just should just clean it, and even if they're structurally not the best, I mean, we can put it on a
Gonna
plan.
hold his driveway though, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That would be awful if we have it collapse.
Right, that's what started this whole thing.
Uh-huh.
It's not gonna collapse.
So-
I wouldn't think so, but if it's damaged or something.
Mhm. I mean, if the construction equipment's not gonna collapse it, his car isn't gonna collapse it, so.
All right, I think this is probably part of a more comprehensive stormwater management project, the culverts, ditches, the whole thing.
Yep.
Maybe when you're done with this lift station project, we can
Yep,
start on something else like that.
yep.
Would that be all right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you
Yep.
too? Or not?
Nope, I agree. I know next year's potential project for maintenance, it's a cheaper and lighter project, so we could potentially budget money to do some storm corrections at that point.
Weren't we doing a lighter year that year to account for a heavy year the following year?
Yeah,
So that we
we were.
are equal?
That's okay, we're still doing budgeting. We have a lot to
Yep.
talk about.
Yep.
All right, anything else for Marcus? Thank you for all your work, Marcus.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.
All right, city business action items.
I'm gonna check with Kathy and see if she's here for a specific thing.
Oh, sorry, Kathy.
You're just enjoying the show?
Well, it's good to have you, Kathy.
Well, welcome.
All right.
Hey, Jim, before you move on, Scott, just with everything that we've talked about tonight regarding John Manship, can you nail down the scope of his position? Or the scope of a water superintendent in general?
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
I think there's a section of city code too.
Definitely. I read it.
Two,
Exactly
202.
what the job description is. But while you guys are doing that, can we move on here?
I think we need to kind of keep going, yeah.
Yeah, 9 o'clock. All right. Number 1, discussion and update regarding water main replacement task force. I'll just give a short update, and Bridget wasn't at the last meeting. Basically, what happened was the task force came up with good questions. Marcus answered them. Max, who is one of the task force members, volunteered to write a report to present to council. He had included me on the draft report. He asked for feedback from the task force, and I have not seen a final report. So that's all I know about that. But they came up with, they did really serious work, and they really did a good job. So I was really pleased with the way they worked together.
And they did give an indication of the direction that they
Yeah,
wanted to
in the
go.
draft, but I don't know, I don't want to overstep their
Good point.
report, so when they're ready, they can bring it forward. Number 2 under city business is discussion and possible action regarding sewer and catch basin
We did that,
cleanout.
I
Yeah,
think.
oh, that's not that, that is something different. Scott, do you want to do
Oh, I
that?
see.
Or do you want me to do that?
You can go ahead.
Okay, so we have a sump inspection report, and there are 15 items on here, and I was asking Marcus what outflows were prior to the meeting, but we are supposed to have these outflows, storm sewers, cleaned out. Last year we did 5, and this year we're gonna do the remaining 10. And so we need council approval to go ahead with this. It looks like Miller Excavating did it for us last year.
Was that one we budgeted for as well?
You know, I don't know.
Out of water maintenance.
Yeah. You got, I don't know what you budgeted for last year,
I don't recall if we did this one or not.
and I don't know. I could have Therese get a quote on this, and then
Yeah.
come back. But can we approve maybe a top amount? Oh, I know what it.
Do we know how much
It was 14 last year to do the 5.
1,400? Okay, so if we did,
So this would be like double. 'cause you did
28.
10, like $3,000. Can council just approve spending 3,000 to clean the rest out?
clean the rest,
If
yeah.
it goes over, to come back and ask for more?
Yeah.
Can we get a motion from someone
So
saying
moved.
that?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Okay, number 3, discussion and possible action regarding toilet efficiency rebate.
So I had a resident contact me. The question was, the Met Council or White Bear Lake had applied to the Met Council as a rebate for people that install low-flow toilets. And obviously her question was, well, because we're on White Bear Lake's system, why can't the city of Birchwood get that? Contacting the Met Council, obviously that application's kind of come and gone, but is that something that either A, the council would be interested in a kind of forming a grant possibly to help somebody, some sort of rebate program, or obviously if it comes up again, we could apply for it.
We had this years ago, I remember. I mean, I'd be interested.
Yeah, the resident, she talked to me as well, and it was asking if possibly the 2 city administrators from White Bear and Birchwood could talk, and because White Bear has leftover money from this grant,
Correct.
perhaps they would be willing to share.
I mean, I have 4 new toilets. 3?
I mean, I get her angle is that, again, if White Bear's not using it, and because we're on their system anyway,
Right,
so,
so,
can't hurt to ask.
right,
okay.
yeah, so if you could contact whoever the administrator is over there, that'd be great. Do we want to do number 4, or should we push it to a work session? Discussion regarding city
Well,
planning process and
I
responsibilities.
mean, I think we need to lay out some of this here. You know,
Personally like it on record if we're doing something like that.
Okay,
yeah, I think I kind of agree. I think it's good to have this on record.
You still have a record at a work session. Still,
I want the video.
Okay. You know, I think we've
Go
seen a
back and
number
watch it
of,
later.
what's that?
So I can go back and watch it and
Well,
reminisce later.
You know, I think we've seen a number of failures lately in our planning and zoning processes where there are variances going through. We're missing, 60-day deadlines. You know, a number of variances have gone through without the right codes called out for variances. You know, variances down at the Pratt Galadowicz thing, there was no elevation drawing showing the retaining wall. I know people are upset about that. Planning Commission is receiving their Planning Commission agendas with 3-day notice, which is not enough for them to review complex matters like this. You know, applications are coming in with kind of the same issues where they're just kind of not complete at all. And, you know, there's required notifications, for example, to the DNR aren't being made. You know, the full kind of set of variances that are required aren't called out. And, you know, missing 60-day deadlines, it looks like we've missed 2 of those now. And so,
Could I just interrupt respectfully?
please,
And I know you did a lot of work on this, and I thought it looked very, very tight. But for me to be helpful and smart,
yeah,
I want that walkthrough that we talked about, so that we can
Agreed.
see the thing end to end before we start to opine on this.
I think that's fine. I'm concerned that we don't have responsibilities in the city right now, and that we're missing things, and then we just miss 60-day deadlines. And so I'm fine with coming up with that, or with a work session, laying that out to people how that works. But I'm also
Because I
concerned,
just think if we if we're missing the deadlines,
Right.
we can put a piece of paper in front of people, but I think we have to understand sort of the root cause of why we're missing the deadlines. Is it lack of staff? Is it, I don't know.
I don't disagree with that. And I think that's why we kind of hoped to have Ben come in tonight, and I know he was invited to come in, and I don't know why he didn't come in.
He asked,
But-
he said he
Okay.
couldn't make it, but he could zoom in.
Yeah,
I told him
I
if
mean,
we
I
had
think
questions, we could call him.
we, you know,
He volunteered to do that.
but I think we need to, you know, as part of kind of our planning process. The problem is we've been messing around with the city planner for almost 6 months now. And, you know, I'm fine with more information here. I guess I'm very, very frustrated. The planning commission is frustrated. People are asking me why walls are going up, and I'm just saying because we granted variances without seeing what was even granted there. So I know we have, you know, a planning process and a RFP going out here, but I don't think it's reasonable to kind of extend this process out. So let's, if we want to get more information, can we do that sort of quickly here? So, because I think we have some real problems in our processes. I don't think you disagree with that. I just can't, you know, we can't just delay this forever. We're going to get ourselves in trouble. So.
Should we have a working session?
Sure, absolutely.
Just on this?
Yeah.
Did we miss two deadline, like recent,
We
another two?
missed on the Galadowicz, the subsequent variance was granted automatically, and on the Shifsky, the subsequent variance was granted
That's the wall
automatically.
and
The wall, and the problem is on the Shifsky one, there were variances in there. You know, the planner's report says
well, we discussed that one here, right? So was it what was the other
it
one?
was
though?
subsequent to that. It was just a couple of months ago, you know, the report and the planner's report said that the only thing being built was a wall, but there was also a stairway being built on there that required additional variances. And I don't understand how that went through without the planner saying, hey, additional variances are required here. So I think there are kind of these, you know, and I get that I'm saying something's wrong, and you're saying, well, we need to understand why those things are compatible. But I think that, you know, as we kind of move forward with an RFP for a planner, we need to be putting into place a process where things work, so.
Well, you know better, you know this
You know.
process way better than me, so
Yep.
what's your recommendation in terms of what we should do?
I'm happy to provide any information we want. I'm not sure our current planner is the best person to make those recommendations. But I think Scott might be able to do that in terms of, or, I mean, I can lay out a process for you. I think I can lay something out too. How do you think that would differ from this document? Do you want to describe our current processes? Because I don't think we have any.
I think
we
Bridget
do.
wants to see soup to nuts,
Right, like-
application
Yeah.
coming in, like
Yes.
how is it processed?
That's-
What's the
Who's
next step?
processing it?
That's
Yeah.
right, and that's a question maybe for city staff, because I didn't want to write a process that says, like, this is like a high-level process. I didn't want to write a low-level process that says, when a variance comes in, you fill in this line and check the
But
spots.
see, that might be
Like,
where we're missing.
know.
What the thing is missing is,
Right.
yeah. So who is, so if I recall, the application comes in, the city is the one who does the initial approval, is that still the case?
Gets the application.
Okay. So then after she gets an application, what happens? Because I don't
So-
know that process.
Right, so I know I asked for this last time.
Yes, you did.
And I was really specific, that I want to see spot run, starting from the very get-go.
Yeah.
What does the app look like? What happens first, second, third? Where are the handoffs? What does the system look like? Who's inputting what?
Yeah.
I don't
How
think
long
that
it
we
takes
can
to get from
the
here to
bottom of
there,
What's
yeah.
the problem is unless somebody
Yeah,
does that.
I agree.
I mean, to me, this is basically the reason to go to kind of an all-encompassing zoning platform, because I think that's hard for us to do as a city.
I don't think we're big enough to be able to do that either, would we?
And I don't think, honestly, I'm suspicious we don't have that process at all
Then
right
there's
now,
our answer. We
right?
gotta create the process.
And that's, but then we need staff to take this document and basically flesh that out for us.
I would like to have them do that because they're the ones doing the work. I want to know how long it actually takes for once you get an application to review to, like, what that timeline is and things like that.
Isn't it 15 days?
You have
15-day limit?
15-day
21
limit,
days.
but, I mean, I
saying
think what
21?
Kathy's asking is, does it take 2 or 3 hours?
It
Or does it
depends.
take 6 or 8 hours? to
I'm sure it
take in a
depends on the
variance
scope of the
application?
project, obviously, but as
But-
far as like when it reaches her desk, when does that clock start ticking and when does she get to actually see it? Because if she gets it on Monday but isn't able to address it until Friday, we've lost 5 days.
Right. So I used to do this in my work.
Did you? Okay.
It's just due process. I would be happy to volunteer on behalf of the council to do that walkthrough with staff and just do soup to nuts. And maybe then I can be helpful,
Figure out where
figure out where that we might have misses.
we have a catch.
But I guess I think the question is, that we also need to answer here is where stuff isn't getting called out on zoning applications.
Oh, I agree, yeah.
How
Absolutely.
come we're missing variances? And I don't, let's just make sure we encompass that too
Yep.
here and make sure we have the expertise we need, so.
Yep.
And if you want to work together on that, I'd be happy to, so.
Sure, if you,
Okay.
yeah, the two of us can do, Scott, if you could tell us, work with the staff and tell us when we can have, I suppose, 4 hours with them to do that. And I don't think there needs to be a lot of prep. We can just look at an old variance and they can walk us through all of the pieces that happen.
Okay.
So let us know. And I'd like it in the next couple of weeks. Are you okay with that, Ryan?
I'll do my best.
Okay.
If we'll figure something out. so.
Okay.
So as you're talking about that, what's happening with Lake Avenue?
Well, I hate to tell you,
Not heard anything, I thought they were still going back.
and I guess you're a person that I'm thinking about when we're talking about that is, unfortunately, that was one of the variances where I don't think it was ever presented fully, and it was granted automatically, and I'm sorry that happened.
No, I thought that they had to come back.
They did, but the city missed the deadline. So,
So they're gonna go ahead and do what they.
I don't know what they'll do, and I'm sorry.
That's okay.
You know,
I just didn't know if
it
they
was
were doing
granted
anything, and I didn't.
automatically. And, and I think you should have had an opportunity to present your opinion there. So I'm sorry.
I'm a nice neighbor.
I appreciate
You know,
that.
it's
but
upsetting it's upsetting to us.
It's upsetting to me that this is happening.
Yes, because it
And-
shouldn't happen,
No,
We're,
they were supposed to come back.
right?
and
And to miss a 60-day deadline, that's a matter of a calendar event. This is not rocket science. Whoever is in charge of this should not have missed a 60-day deadline.
They knew, so was it
Well, they also knew that they get it and if it's past. I mean, we didn't have the meeting. So
I don't,
I
they
don't
had no way to
understand.
come back
And I
if it,
think,
yeah.
well, I think those are the questions that Bridget is kind of
Yeah.
asking here is,
So we can't cancel a planning meeting if we have a deadline coming up either.
Right.
So that would be good.
but
But
I,
yeah.
personally, I think planning should be meeting every month.
They're scheduled to initially, but if there's nothing on the docket, but if the city doesn't tell them, like, I'm not expecting the planning commission to be like, let me look at my calendar and what's due on 60 days, because that's not their area.
Right.
That's the city's.
I
so.
mean, I'm,
the person that's asking?
They should, they probably do. It benefits them if they don't come forward.
So is there anything that's coming forward right now?
That's what I'd like to know, because I'm not involved. Like, do we have anything due that should be in front of the planning commission?
I don't believe so.
But my assumption, and I have not seen the planning software or the permitting software, is that there is a calendar feature in there somewhere for us to actually schedule, like, this has an action date of this date, that we could actually tag that.
We'll
I
find
mean,
out.
I believe that was something that was mentioned when they
we
sold it
have,
to us.
right on the front of our variance form, we have, it says, received by date, was a extension sent, extension needed, read it. I don't care whether staff use that or not, and I feel like it's not my job necessarily to prescribe that. But it is on the form there, keeping track of the deadline. The problem is, I think if you ask the question of who keeps track of the deadline, to me, in this case, since it went to the city planner, it was his responsibility to make sure they got to the planning commission in that amount of time. Now, And I don't understand quite where that gap is, but obviously there is some gap, so.
We really need to define roles and responsibilities. You know, and I think in Ryan's attempt, beautiful document, I mean, that's attempting to define what the role and responsibilities of a planner is. Now, Ben did have some feedback on that as well, you know, saying that some of that is city staff responsibility.
Yeah.
But I think there's this nebulous area in there, and that's where we're getting caught up.
Of the whose problem is this one?
Correct.
Right, that's why a process,
Yep.
walk through step by step, will say where we've got gaps.
Yeah.
It would be nice as well if we have it on a calendar and we're not seeing something from Ben, that we are reaching out, because it is our deadline to then, because we have to send out a letter or et cetera. There is additional administrative that has to happen to extend deadline too. But I think that does need to be the onus on the city.
And one of the easiest things you can do, and I recommend this to all small cities, the statute allows you an extension just by saying we're taking it. And so the 60 days is just the initial statutory time. And so I have no idea why that hasn't been used here, because of the fact that you meet infrequently.
I thought we
and
had
these
told
things
them
are
to
far
do
and
that.
And you have mentioned that at least 3 times since I've been on council.
Yeah, and I think we had told
Yeah.
the staff to just start doing
Right.
that whenever we got a permit, but I don't know if it's ever happened, because
I think the other question is why were those variances, why did they take more than 2 months in the first place?
That's your process question,
Yeah,
Bridget's
and
because that's a breakdown someplace
is-
in here.
you know,
Well, also, and I've talked a little bit, and I don't remember with whom about it, but when the application comes in, it should be rejected immediately if it's not complete. I mean, I saw in one of the
Wow.
packets, these applications, and, 10 things are missing. No, send it right back.
And that's a
Not
process
accepting
problem,
this.
because the statute lays out, you have a time frame to do it in,
Right.
to reject it for that. Otherwise, you have to accept it as is.
well,
That's a simple.
I mean, the decision on,
Incomplete homework.
the decision on whether an application is complete or not has to fall to the planner. On a planning application, who sends the letter, I think, is subject to discussion, and we can define that. But it looks to me like the decision is maybe never even getting made on whether an application is complete or not. And that's, so anyway, there's a rat's nest, and it's
Let's walk
9:15.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, my 2 cents is we need to fix this by the end of the year. Fix
you
the
need to
process
fix it
and
sooner
procedure.
than that,
Hey,
but.
I'm all for it, but this was one of the things we all ran on, is fixing the variance process, and we need it fixed.
I think it's also important too that we,
Well, hi, Marcus.
while we're defining roles on this, like we define what the council's role actually is in this process. Like we are just essentially voting yes or no on these variances. So like,
That's-
here's the city planner, here's
And-
staff does, here's what council's
It
responsibility.
shouldn't be my role,
No.
honestly,
Correct.
writing documents.
No,
No.
correct.
I don't know who does it, and it feels like the work isn't getting done, so there's the document, and if somebody wants to write a way better one, great. So,
No, I get it. Hi,
this one's good.
what'd you like?
Earlier, I just thought of something earlier. You guys asked if there's anything out there right now. There's not, but I did get an email this morning about a application. I don't know if it's for a variance or not, coming in for a new build. So
oh, thanks.
just so you guys know, there's
to
one
know.
coming in.
Well, you better write that ordinance quick about the
Yeah.
as-built. Get it on the books. Okay, sorry.
Well, they can't possibly have built it yet, right?
All right.
We'll
Scott,
get
can you
there.
look and make sure that that application is complete so that we can deny that sucker real fast?
All eyes are on you.
All right, hey, any more on this, right?
Well, let's make sure it's somebody, see if it's somebody we like first.
Oh,
I shouldn't say that. I should not say that, should I?
Well, that's gonna be taken out of context.
Let's
Any
move
more on
now.
this?
No, I think we've
Are you okay?
beaten this to death.
Okay, you're satisfied?
Well, I think we need to kick keep moving
Okay.
forward on this quickly, but that's all.
Do they have an extension of 60 days? I mean, if the time is elapsed on this and there's
Oh, you better go to the mic again.
It was,
We can't hear you online.
so,
The million people
Yes.
want to know what you have to say.
On the Shifsky, Kathy asked on the Shifsky variance whether this was,
So do they have an
they,
extension?
the city extended it, so they applied, the city, and there's a longer story than this, but the short answer is, it was, they made an application, the city extended the application to the 120 days, and still didn't make the 120-day deadline. And so even after the extension, it was granted automatically after 120 days,
It never made it back
because
to
it
the
never made
plan.
it to the council. Or
And
the,
that's all you get. So once that's up, it's up.
Okay, I missed that. I thought they maybe had another 60-day extension.
The applicant could have extended it, but they rarely do, but the city only gets one shot.
All
I
right.
thought it was a very good document. I just like all the, I don't know the back portion of it.
it's an okay document.
I thought it was
It's,
He writes very detailed documents. They're good. You're a good writer. All right, let's move on.
Let's move on.
Number 5, update regarding storm damage, debris removal. I guess that's Scott or me. Who's this?
We're still removing, we have some up at the park. We're trying to get everybody out to White Bear Township for the majority of it. So the more people go to White Bear Township, the better. We don't want it necessarily in the city because we're getting inundated at the park, but it's a process. I'll keep it brief.
Okay, I just have, if anybody's watching anymore.
So question, was there a couple transformers that went down?
Yeah, well, a couple posts, utility poles broke and took down the wires. Yeah,
Because there was power out.
yeah. So, Steve Dean, Jim, and Ron have been just really, they've really done a great job removing. We had 6, 7, 8 trees down over the road, large trees. That all got chopped up, stacked on the side of the road, and the brush removed. Now we have residents stacking their own yard waste on the sides of the road. So I want our residents to know that's not going to be removed by the city. The city has done its job to take care of all the trees that were down on the roads and in the right-of-ways. We're done removing trees from until the next storm comes. As far as Polly's Park goes, that is off limits now for dumping. We do have 2 options for clearing that out. One is chipping and one is a big bonfire party in the winter. Both options are on the table and we may end up doing both.
I'll bring my splitting maul.
So that's all I have for that.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
All right, so if somebody has their own private tree and it's sitting on city property, do we tell them that they have to move it? And if they don't move the stuff, what happens?
I don't know if there's an ordinance. I haven't had a time to check.
If it's,
Time to check. Is there an ordinance about removal?
there isn't, but, I mean, Alan will explain that this is, as you've explained to me before, like, this is the oldest legal question in the book or something. Right, I think that basically the portion of it that's on city property is the city's responsibility in
No,
most
not when you
cases,
drag
right?
it from your backyard.
Oh,
and you put
if
it at the
if
road.
you, as a human being with agency, move it onto city property?
Yes.
Well, did anybody see it?
As a human.
As a human, and this human is helping Jim and Ron,
Oh,
and this human
well.
goes down Hall and Cedar and realizes they've cleaned everything
That
up.
just sounds
And
like,
then the human comes back 2 hours later, and there's more piles on the side of the road.
do you really need
It's a
a,
matter of,
I mean, do we really need Alan to tell us the answer to that?
like,
Oh, the humanity.
I just think it's really like poor behavior to do that, because the city ends up paying. The city, by the way, is all of our residents, so.
Right, so, not to belabor this, I know it's late, but, so that beautiful tree that came down over Birchwood, that
Yes,
sort of stopped everything for a day.
yes.
Okay, they've cleared that tree, but now all the brush is on arguably city property. So what happens there?
All
They
those,
need to remove it.
the big, because there's still logs there from when they cut it up, right? So is that the residents?
The residents' tree.
The-
Oh, okay.
And the brush fell onto the resident's property.
No, the brush fell onto the city property.
Across the road.
Then I think that would be the city's responsibility to remove.
No, the city did, okay, listen, the tree is on the resident's property. When it fell across the road to the other side of the road.
Yep,
We, the city, came in and moved the tree off the road and cleaned up the right-of-way of, like,
of
all,
stuff.
everything that was on the road was cleaned up, back to the grass.
Yep,
Then we're done. It's
right.
the resident's tree, so that
It's-
person would be responsible for cleaning up.
So my guess is people don't understand that, so maybe we have to have a
It's also only
communication.
been a couple of weeks and everybody's
True.
busy. You know what I mean?
That's true.
I want to give them a little grace, but yeah, if it sits there for another couple of weeks,
Should we just write a little post
we can do that.
and put it on the website just to kind of explain it or something?
Little bonus Facebook post.
Or, you know, something.
We can do that. And
Well,
if it's not removed, letters will.
It's always nice to have something so that when it comes up again, you say, hey, we wrote this a long time ago and didn't change it just for you, so.
I can draft something, but I want somebody to review it before it goes.
Yeah, I'll do it for you if you want. Okay, any other questions about that? All right, 6, discussion possible approval of tree inspector proposal. In your packet is a proposal from Cameron Blake, who is, I believe, Washington County Conservation District?
Yep, that's him.
He was out last year to inspect our trees, and he did not get through the entire city. So if you had a chance to read his proposal, it's quoted as saying $3,000 max to do the rest of the city that he could not finish last year.
I move to approve the Cameron Black Tree Inspector proposal.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh,
He has actually
opposed?
very
Hearing none,
reasonable
motion
rates.
passes.
He has very reasonable rates.
Yes.
You do a good
Marcus
job.
was nice enough too to give him the GIS information so he can figure out
Mark the
where the
trees.
property lines are.
The trees are pretty diseased, it's not that hard to pick up.
No, but I think we're required by statute to have a tree inspector. Number 8, discussion and possible approval of agreement between the Washington Conservation District and City of Birchwood.
Oh, you skipped 7, the tree removal quote by
Oh, sorry.
Steve.
Oh, yes, tree removal, I talked to Steve Dean. We discussed having him come down Cedar and Hall, trimming up all the trees, not getting rid of the canopy or anything, but just getting it back off from the road. But since then, Excel has notified all of us that they're gonna come through and take down some of those trees or branches that are in the power lines. So we're putting Steve on hold again because we're gonna see what Excel does, and then Steve will come through. But he's also gonna work on removing a couple of dead elms and some of the tree work that Ron and Jim cannot do. Continued conversations with him.
I feel like we had approved a tree removal budget for him before.
There's 15,000 in the budget.
Okay.
Number 8, discussion and possible approval agreement between the Washington Conservation District and the City of Birchwood Village.
That's the same
I
as,
don't know, is it?
I thought it was the same as the Cameron Black agreement?
No.
Warning.
Is it?
There's no page number with the Cameron Black agreement.
Oh, you're right.
I did.
It's the same thing, it just goes on.
Okay, well.
Yep, it's the same.
maybe-
Okay, cool. We're done with that then. Number 9, discussion and possible schedule of special meetings for preliminary 2026 budget presentation. Okay, Kathy, why don't you talk?
Well, so I actually wanted to
Oh,
see if we
sorry.
could move the council meeting for September. My sister-in-law passed away and her memorial is that day. So Jennifer is also out on the 9th, so I was hoping we could move the council meeting to the 4th because it is arguably the most important of our council meetings, and I would like very much to be able to vote at that one.
4th of September?
September,
Instead of the 9th,
yes.
so we cancel the 9th and move it to the 4th.
Is there,
I picked the 4th because that was the date that Scott suggested, as well as potentially Chris would be available to record. The alternative date, I believe you had said the 29th.
It's my birthday.
Can,
29th of September.
Yes, 29th of
can,
September.
can I propose maybe that we add a meeting on the 4th to do the budget as a special meeting? And if we want to add other stuff in there, that's fine, but that we leave the general meeting in place just in case we have, because I don't know if like accounting people are able to get stuff processed by the 4th in their normal sense, just to, and then us who are available in that time, we can just come in and kind of do the trivial stuff, and you guys can move what you think is important to the 4th, just to kind of make sure we don't disrupt the flow of the city, and I'll stop.
I'm okay with that. I just want to make sure we are all
yep.
present to be on
And
record.
I'm agreed, I don't have any issue with making sure it's available to you guys, I just don't want to like cancel the general meeting or the regular meeting and disrupt the flow of things.
What do the rest of you think? Can everybody make the 4th?
Yep.
Yeah?
Yep.
Are we good, Scott, then?
Are we going to have a quorum on the 9th? I know 2 will be gone, but will everybody else be here on the 9th?
That's a good
Should be.
question.
Okay.
The very, yeah.
So September 4th will be a special meeting for the budget, right?
That's fine, yeah. And can we have that on video, just so people can see it?
Yeah, that was the request.
That's, yes, so I'd picked the 4th based on dates that Chris was available to record. We might not be able to broadcast on the, there you go.
We can broadcast on the 4th. If I can't make it on the 4th, I'll have somebody come and broadcast it for us.
Perfect.
Thanks.
So
Thank you.
you guys are good for the 4th.
Okay. Yes, so then we would be able to put it on the cable and then also the YouTube channel that we already have. So everyone would be able to watch it at some,
6:45?
yes. Thank you so much.
Now, I just told Granick, Ms. Granick, what's her first name?
Jesse?
Jesse, sorry, Jesse, that we would get that resolution done for her ASAP. Now, as long as we're talking dates, is there a time we can come in?
Can we-
Tomorrow, the next day?
Can we do that on the 4th, or you'd like to try and get
You
that even
need 3
sooner?
days.
Yeah, you have to post notice.
Okay,
The,
today is the 12th.
the 4th is something we could add because this can be a special meeting.
But you were hoping to get them going,
Yeah.
right?
By them, meaning us.
Yeah.
I mean, we need to pass the resolution, but then the city's taking over the project.
Correct.
And the city is like, what, 1.5 people? So, yeah, we need as much time as we can get.
She was fine with the 4th, or the 1st of September.
Okay. Does that give us enough time to get rolling on, well, can we start on getting quotes from places without that? Probably not.
She's already got
Oh,
several
she's got
quotes.
so many quotes. Yeah.
Okay.
It's about getting the
So
work
it's
done.
just doing the contracts and everything that we can't get growing until we've approved it, right?
Yeah.
We can't spend any money until it's approved, so we
You can
can't order.
solicit contracts, you just can't spend the money.
We can't order anything.
Okay.
I mean,
What date are you
noticing how
suggesting?
slow everything moves around here, I'm thinking, we don't want to screw up Lake Links. After they did all this work and they have all this money invested, we need to get it done.
Yes. When are you suggesting?
What are you looking at me like that
Can we just
for?
go to Sonic and vote from our cars?
Kathy, I'm suggesting,
I'll be,
like Monday, I don't know, the 18th. Quickly write up a resolution, we'll pass it on the 18th. That would give us at least another 2 weeks where we can start ordering things and finding people to install these benches.
Are we thinking like a 5-minute meeting or?
5 minutes, yes.
Can we meet at 5 o'clock instead of 6:45?
We can do
Can
it.
you make it 5:15?
I mean, you don't have to be here if you don't.
I
It's
can
okay,
post the agenda.
it's okay if you're not here.
I can post the agenda and I'll have it here.
I mean, we can just,
You don't need to be there for that one.
seriously, we're just gonna pop in and pop out, so.
That's when you'll probably have to remind me.
Huh?
Stop by.
18th, I'll pick you up on
we
that
can
one.
have a stand-up meeting.
So-
Stand-up, Ryan.
Just
Wait.
to post this 5:15
Thank you,
on the
Marcus.
That's what I want, yeah.
Okay, 5:15 on the 18th, are we all good with that?
Yep.
Okay, I'll get the resolution drafted and notice of the meeting.
Thank you. I just don't wanna, we have a lot going on.
it would be good. They can start to do stuff that will take effect this fall, so the sooner the better.
Yeah, and it's a lot of work for our staff city.
Yep.
All right, anything else we need on the number 9 item?
Well, so with the budget, real quick, and I can kind of fly through, I did hand out the, kind of the proposed budget spreadsheet. I know there's 2 spreadsheets, one's for you to go through and kind of fill in numbers, the other is I explained this to Kathy, is a, just rough form that can be used. Ideally, the general, as I kind of talked before at a previous meeting, your general fund budget, I won't spend too much time on because usually these are expenses that are what they are and it's almost a copy and paste from year to year. The big notice, or the big difference that you notice from 2025 compared to prior years is your budget's roughly 600,000 higher. That was because of the grant. I left those in there just for reference, but again, ideally, your budget's gonna come in probably at that 600,000 range because you're not gonna have those grant funds. Where I want you to focus though is where we talk about visioning and where do we want to start planning ahead. And again, I listed an example, this big sheet is just an example of how other communities do it. So we don't need all of this equipment, it's just an example of how other communities do it. We've worked on.
So we're not getting a Bobcat?
I was hoping for a Zamboni.
Well, it may be a Zamboni, but ideally, you need to plan that there's gonna be a time we need a roof for this building. There's gonna be a time we need to redo the parking lot. There's some other things that you're gonna want to invest in that we're gonna wanna set back 5,000, 10,000, whatever a year, and maybe in 20, 30, this is gonna be a purchase. So all I was doing is kind of setting this out as just that form for, here's a way that we can track this, we can keep history, but what do we need to be saving for? You know, these are the things that we need the bigger discussion on. Ideally, your general fund budget doesn't need a lot of discussion. There may be some minor changes, but it doesn't need a lot. Focus on what we need to be budgeting for in the future and think about that.
Can I just,
Sorry.
okay, I'll just really quickly, I was just writing some numbers down, you know. Marcus, when he talked about the whole citywide water main replacement, if it came out of our pocket, in 2025 dollars would be $10 million. If over the next, let's say, from now until 20, or.
Next 20 years?
2065,
Oh,
right?
okay.
And that's when the water main would be 100 years old, so that's what, 40, 50 years?
40 years.
30, 40 years, right. We would have to save $250,000 a year for 40 years to get to the 10 million.
And that's
And
pricing
that
for now.
200, that's, so, my whole thing is, when you just said that our budget is $600,000, and if, and if we just wanted to save to replace water mains, it would cost us $250,000 a year, extra. For 40 years.
So we better
Well,
get a
you apply
grant.
for
40
grants.
years.
Hard sell.
Yeah.
I mean, ay.
I've done some hard living. I don't think I'm making it that long.
I think I'm gonna have to move.
Do we need water?
I'm not gonna be around.
I'm out of here, man.
So I have a logistical
Well,
question.
we've got a
for you.
lake.
Okay, that's all I have to say about that.
Muddy buckets.
So, you know, when we talk about capital
Yeah.
improvement projects, I don't think we can save enough.
You can't.
No.
Every city's burden, you can't.
We can't.
But maybe we
So
can
we just
replace
have
the
to
roof.
make the assumption that, you know, on some of these large-scale things, there's gotta be government money.
I mean, you know, on some level, we have to be able to find the rate where we would just sustain things. And probably it's not as high as we think, but like, yeah, I think we've,
I think that's right.
you know, I guess I just think we haven't spent anything on water mains since the 1960s, right?
Right. And I don't care, I mean, I'm not
As
saying,
soon as
that
we
was
put
just
in
an
the new ones, we
example.
better start
I don't
saving for
care.
more.
I don't really care. I'm just saying as an example. Oh, we're gonna save money, folks.
In regards to the amounts that you have for the budgets in here, I know you had mentioned that, I think it's line D is the grant that we currently have for the lift station in the proposed budget document. So is the one that's also the federal grant above that, the 3,000, that's a grant as well? So neither of those should be considered as,
You always hope to get grants. We don't have any right on the books
Yeah.
right now, so that's why I don't put numbers in there. But
Okay.
yeah, the 3,000 I actually took out, the 600 I
So that
left in.
605 needs
But
to come
ideally,
out.
that's gonna, should not be there.
and then we don't need to put in the parks grant that we got, or do we have any other grants right now? I don't think so.
The Parks grant would be one that could be put in. But again, it's
But
a
it's for
balance out.
specifically for parks, so do we want to keep it in that budget?
I call it a balance because again, I'm putting 60 in, but I'm also taking 60 out because the plan is to spend that as it comes in.
Okay, so is the special revenue fund included in here as well?
Yeah, I believe that's,
It's usually in the,
Because that's where our 7,500 match is coming out of, so we have to make sure we account for that. Really, that's all parks, so I wanted to find out if we wanted to add the grant in there, because we can only spend it in that area, so I wasn't sure.
I don't see it.
I don't either.
maybe I didn't.
So I'm wondering if we should leave out that grant because it's already allocated for parks only, and we don't have the general revenue, which is a different,
It could be, yeah.
all right, that's fine.
So how do we best prepare for the 9th? What's our assignment? What should
4th.
we be doing? 4th?
Thank you.
Sorry.
One, again, although adjustments to the general fund are small, the budget here is small enough that if there's something on there as a red flag that, hey, we can reduce this significantly or whatever, let me know. But ideally, there's not gonna be like, oh, we're taking $10,000 off of this or minor adjustments. That's why we don't spend a lot of time on it. Spend time on it, let me know. It's not gonna be a hindrance, but in larger cities, they really don't focus on that. Where you need to spend your time is, again, a roof is $40,000, and I don't know, we want to replace that in 4 years, or maybe 5, whatever. It's more going back and doing the spreadsheet of, okay, how do we spread out $10,000, $5,000, whatever that may be? What other park equipment that may not fall under the grant? Maybe it's extra, I don't know, extra mower, whatever. Something that you realize is a piece of equipment that's needed, or something asset that the city really needs to budget for. Maybe something that we don't have that's a goal, that's the Zamboni. I'm throwing that out there as
Yeah, I know,
crazy, but sometimes there's a legitimate need.
Yeah. I don't think we actually own any equipment. I think it comes with our staff, right? Which is odd.
I think we should start budgeting for some equipment.
But then you have to pay for the maintenance and all the things
You
with
know
it,
what?
which,
Are we a real city or are we not a real city?
well, sure, but as far as like, if we generally end up hiring people because of said things, so
I know.
labor might be the
So
better place to
Scott,
put money.
to me, I think that the regular run-the-business budget needs to be increased for maintenance. So I think that we have to talk about what it is that we want to increase on maintenance,
Correct.
which is, and then maybe it's a conversation about how much we think we can put aside every year? What will the community be able to afford?
Exactly.
As opposed to,
Right.
it's a roof, it's a,
Put your numbers in and then do the math.
yeah.
Back
Is
up.
is it worth doing an inventory of essentially every piece of equipment in the city?
We're supposed to have that.
We should. Why, would it be that hard in Birchwood to just go do that?
But we had none.
I could walk around with a clipboard and somebody else could do the real work.
Like what equipment?
It's,
What equipment?
Mostly it's in
that
this
sounds like it's
building.
probably not.
Mostly it's
Oh.
in this
Oh.
building. And then
Mostly
there's-
it's what?
in this building. The equipment we have is mostly in this building.
in the garage.
Yeah, I
There's
mean,
hardly
it
anything
just,
in the garage.
it seems like this could take a couple people a half a day.
Correct.
And maybe it's
All office
a
equipment.
couple people a full day, but it just doesn't seem like it would be, it seems like it might just be worth doing
I
if we
agree.
think we can maintain it long-term.
I agree.
We also have some
Okay.
stuff in the warming house. That's the only other place. Jim does. So logistics-wise, did we already up the, I think police and fire both said they were gonna be higher this year. Did you already?
Police is coming in higher.
Well, yeah, I see that.
haven't
It's
upped it yet
97
on this,
versus 48,
yeah,
but.
I know that that's coming in higher. I haven't seen fire, or maybe have seen fire, but
Can we have the numbers up, well, I know we just did tree inspection for 3,000 versus 5, but as far as like the big numbers on here for like fire and our budget last year, I think we gave Alan a raise, so making sure that we actually put that in, and the things that we had approved last year as well.
That's right, let's make sure,
That
if
these
we're not
numbers
just
are-
carrying, I thought we did put it in, but make sure we're not just carrying forward
Yeah.
Alan's rate from last year.
And then did we,
and again, all these are things we can discuss on the 4th and go line by line and.
Right,
Oh.
let's do-
well, yes, but I'd like the numbers available at that time, so if you can confirm what we actually are now.
Yep.
Or any that have actually submitted theirs, because I know some of those, we had, what was it, last year, where we had approved our budget, and then,
Alan
was
is
it
in there.
fire or something like that came in, they're like, oh, by the way, it's gonna be 20,000 more. So,
You missed the email, he hiked the price.
Yeah.
That was.
yeah, and it was a,
It was a fire drill.
it was. But we had to find that money from, because we can't change the budget up, we obviously can go down. And then I believe Marcus had mentioned the road project that we had already approved for 2026. I think we had a budget that we had set for that, but I believe we were planning on doing 100,000 per each, but we had just discussed using that money that was the extra for something
We can
else.
revisit that when we talk budget too.
Yeah, but I'd like those in there, because I'm not gonna be able to remember what all the amounts are. Those are the only ones that are popping in my head as far as what they currently have. And then we also need to probably look at why we are 80,000 down on our building permits, which is our only income typically. 'Cause we were expecting 90. Yeah, well, we were expecting 90, and we've had 10 this year, which means we are significantly below on our income,
Something's wrong.
because I would think that number is incorrect, but I could be completely wrong on that too.
How are we getting $90,000 from building permits?
Because there were so many building permits. That's our biggest outside of property.
How much is a building permit?
3,000 is the base for
That number doesn't seem too far off to me.
the 10,000,
No, the
90,000?
90, yeah.
50 to 100,000.
Lots
I
of
mean,
people are doing, like
I
your
mean, you
dad
gotta
or
remember, like Jack running around between the 3 or 4 people that handle that, that's a good portion of a full-time employee. I mean, that's,
Yeah.
you know, it's,
But yeah, if we're only at 10,000 for that, we have a serious problem, because that's, our planner costs significantly more than that, and
Well, and typically you try and make your building permits be a pass-through, where they're paying for your planner,
All
your
the things,
inspector,
yeah.
your processing, your publications, things like that.
so that number is concerning to me, so I'd like that looked at again, because we're at 13,000 when we were expecting 92 for this last year on this document. I'm hoping it's not right. I know there's more projects going on than that in the city, so.
So what happens if we don't hit our budget?
If we don't get our money, it comes out of the budget for this year for projects, et cetera.
if we don't hit, you mean if we
Like
go
if we
over,
don't
If we go over our budget this year,
just draw on reserves.
is that a big deal to do?
No, I mean.
Right now, our reserves
Cities
are,
do that all the time.
Okay.
so right now, our reserves are being used to pay the like the lift station items in advance until we get our EPA money back. So right now, we will be running slightly low because of that, but it will be in theory reimbursed, so,
We were a little careful,
yeah,
given the cash flow
yep.
that's right now, but I think we're just fine, so, no parties, but
Do you think we can wrap this up?
please.
All right, Ryan, you have one more consent agenda. You wanted that pulled out, number 2.
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to say about it is, especially since this is a really big allocation, I would just ask that we add, contract for bituminous roadways for the 2025 road improvement plan was approved by a 4-0 vote. Not a big deal, but just to record the vote on there for a large
you weren't there?
expenditure. I was at that one, I wasn't at the next one.
The previous
Bridget.
one?
Bridget wasn't there.
Okay.
So with that, I move to approve the minutes from July 14th, 2025 as amended.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, hearing none, motion passes. Does anybody have any updates they feel compelled to announce right now?
Is it time to adjourn? That's my update.
Okay, good. Announcements or upcoming events, anybody? Good.
We have a city newsletter that will be coming out at the end of this month. I need anything you want in that newsletter to me by the 22nd to make the print date.
Perfect. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes, and we are adjourned.